keep that score there or I just had chicken in the front. Hey! Oh. Yeah, it's about 1:47. Here they come. Come on, boys! What did you say? All the little kids. Come on, Lauderdale!
Well, hello and welcome to Lauderdale Oval for what promises to be a clash of the Titans here in the Tasmanian State League. Lauderdale taking on Glenorchy here at the home of the Bombers. Two teams who will certainly be fancying themselves as shots at the TSL Premiership in 2019. It is round 12 action between the Magpies and the Bombers. Both teams naming very, very strong lineups for this one. For the Bombers, well, Bryce Walsh is named, but whether or not he takes to the field is another question. We understand he might be currently travelling at the moment, so I'm not sure if he's got up for this game yet. We will certainly have that information revealed in due course. Out of the team goes Oscar Shaw, and for Glenorchy, Webster, Butterworth and Bowden in for Roberts, Salter and Arundel. My name's Chris Robot. I'm going to be bringing you all the action from Lauderdale Oval this afternoon as my offside of a special comments just adjusts his headphone and makes his way into our little tent that we have assembled here on the sidelines at Lauderdale Oval in true local footy fashion. Alex Fitzgerald. Alex, welcome to you.
Thanks, Rowie. How are you this morning? This afternoon?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Looking forward to this one. It's going to be a cracking encounter between two teams that always go hard at it.
Yeah, both teams in fine form this year. It sort of seems that while it's a more even competition, it's really Glenorchy and Lauderdale that have taken that next step to be definitely challengers to North Launceston.
Yep, they certainly do. They've both had really strong seasons, and I cast my mind back to when they last met out at KG5. It was Glenorchy getting the chocolates on that occasion, running out 11-point winners, and it was really against the odds. They were without several key players that day. Lauderdale went into the game as favourites, despite it being at KG5, and Glenorchy in what was a really gritty and determined performance without some of their real prime movers managed to get on top. So Lauderdale will have that in the back of their minds going into this one at their home ground.
They will, yeah, and that's what we've seen from Glenorchy. They're sort of known for stepping up when they do have a lot of injured stars out. I know they dropped a few games this year. They probably were favourites to take, but yeah, Lauderdale, you'd expect, would have that in the back of their minds as they prepare to host the Pies today.
Well, let's have a look at the Glenorchy lineup that is on the screen at the moment, and what a strong lineup it is. Arnold, Hall, Duggan across that full back line. Brennan, Butterworth and Gunther. He's a good player, Gunther. Butterworth back into this team this week. The Pies, of course, coming off the bye. Banksmith, Millhouse and Mott. So Millhouse comes in to the centre square set up there. I think Rundle's out of the side for Glenorchy this afternoon. Yes, he is. So he'll have a job to do in midfield there. Daly, who's been sensational as the small forward for across half forward for Glenorchy. He joins Reeves and Aidan Grace, who is probably the most improved player in Tasmania. Tyler Bowden comes back into the team, joins his brother Jay in the full forward line alongside the Wiley small cricketing forward. In Clinton, French, Duffy, Camerick and Webb is a very strong on-ball brigade with Bester, Dilger, Geared and Zach Webster starting on the bench for the Pies. Good team, isn't it?
It's a stacked team, Rowie. I think for me the standout line's obviously that half-forward line. Daly and Grace have both taken their game to another level this year. I think Grace, no one can deny that he's been one of the stars of the competition.
He certainly has, and he strutted his stuff in the state game a couple of weeks ago in the under-25 match against Vic Metro. He was best on ground by that far. It wasn't funny. And if you cast your mind back a couple of years ago when he was playing for Clarence, just a completely different player. He went to Geelong VFL for a little bit, come back to Tasmania, and he's just improved out of sight. A really strong hit-up, marking forward, great set of hands. Kicks goals, good at ground level. He's the complete package, and he's a perfect example of what the state league, I suppose, can produce in terms of this crop of players that, with a VFL team on track for a couple of years' time, he's the prototype for the type of player that the Devils will certainly be after.
Yeah, definitely. He was a standout in that under-25s game, and like you said, he's completely transformed himself. A bit of VFL experience where he had a couple of standout games there even last year, but he looks bigger, stronger. He's in hot form, and no doubt, I think, come the VFL time, he'll be one of those key targets if he isn't called up for higher honours before then.
So Lauderdale currently sit on top of the TSL ladder. They're a game clear of North Launceston. They have played an extra game. Of course, Glenorchy sit on third with 28 points, 9 wins and 7 losses. But as you mentioned, it is those three teams now, isn't it, that have really asserted themselves as the three to beat. Lauderdale, Glenorchy and North Launceston. You can never discount North Launceston as an adversary, but certainly Lauderdale sitting on top with 9 wins and 1 loss, and Glenorchy here today sitting in third. They can bridge that gap a little bit further by going just one game off top spot if they are to beat Lauderdale. But what a season they're having, and big the man in front of us as well, big Hayden Smith, who's having a dominant year in the ruck as the team just makes itself present on the screen there, and we'll go through it from the back line. Anderton, Trupp, Raglione. Trupp had a really good season, got a call up to the under-25s and performed pretty well there. Gilby, Wiggins, McGuinness. It's about as good a half-back line as you'll find in the TSL with AFL experience there. Wiggins, who could easily be a centre-half forward in any other team in the comp. Josh McGuinness, AFL experience as well, one of the best players in the state. Heavey, the veteran on the wing. Siggins, the ultimate utility. McManus, who's been a long-time Lauderdale gun. Karen Ewer, Wish Wilson, Saunders. There's some spark and electricity along that half-forward line. And then Burge, the luxury to be able to sit a midfielder of his quality in the forward pocket. McGuinness and Walsh, who I'm not sure is taking to the field today. I haven't seen him out there yet. We'll keep our eyes peeled. Smith, Franklin, Bell, Chambers. Gee, that is a good team, and I must say, just reading off the top of my head, that's about as full strength as it gets down here at Lauderdale. I don't think they're missing too many.
No, and like you said, the luxury to have a player like Burge and potentially Walsh if he's playing today, two on-bowlers in that forward line, as well as Hayden Smith, who his follow-up work in the ruck this year, it is as good as having another midfielder right there in the middle.
He's actually leading the RACT Player of the Year voting at the moment, big Hayden Smith. So we see it in the AFL a little bit with Grundy and Gawn, the influence that they have as big men in the middle of the ground, being able to play as that extra midfielder. Hayden Smith having a similar effect for Lauderdale, as you say, Alex, being able to not only win taps but lay big tackles, win his own footy at ground level and take a big mark as well, as we see the Lauderdale boys just warming up on the screen there. What are you looking for out of this game? What's the headline act today for you?
I think it'll be a big battle of the midfields. I think both teams obviously have stacked forward lines, but it is going to be who can win that ball, who can win the contested ball. Both sides very good at it too, so it's really a toss of the coin. Lauderdale, obviously, they play down here at the Skybus Oval very well, but Glenorchy have shown, especially in every game this year, that they can never be discounted in the middle. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I'm really looking forward. I've called a few Glenorchy games this year, and every time I do, and I know he's done this 250 times, but Jay Bowden, seems to put on a show every time. I'm looking forward to what the matchup might be there, how the Lauderdale might go about negating his influence. I'm also looking forward to that ruck battle between Hayden Smith and Cam Duffy, and just the little things that we might see just to negate the influence of a big man, because he is a big man, Hayden Smith. He's tall, he's big, he's strong, he throws his weight around, he's not afraid to get stuck in. I'm just not sure how you stop it. Harrison Gunther's another player I really enjoy watching for Glenorchy as well, so really looking forward to seeing the influence he can have against a pretty strong Lauderdale forward line.
Yeah, Gunther is one of those players as well. I think he started his career in the seniors as that sort of third tall forward, but he's been instrumental this year across half-back and was rewarded with the state under-25s selection a couple of weeks ago.
And his name's, going back a couple of years now, is sort of in draft calculations for a while there as well, and you can see why he is that rangy, sort of tall intercept defender. He started life as a forward, Harrison Gunther, but made the move back and has certainly delivered in spades since he has done so. So really looking forward to seeing him go about it. Ben Camrick's another one from Glenorchy who's really lifted his game to another level this year. His
delivery by foot has been sensational, and you would have seen that game where I think Jay got on the end of a few. Some of those kicks, just unstoppable, and he's again one of those players that maybe 2 years ago was sort of fringe Glenorchy, and now he's firmly entrenched in their best .22 by mile.
I also wouldn't like to be in that Glenorchy half-back line today with Kieran Ewer and Saunders running around. They are just such exciting prospects at Lauderdale.
They've added a real spark to this Lauderdale side. Obviously, Henry Kieran Ewer, this is his second season here, but he's lifted again, and just complemented by Saunders there. Again, to refer back to that state under-25s game, Kieran Ewer, his impact. He doesn't need to have a lot of the footy. I mean, often he does get a fair amount, but just his skills across half forward, again, it'll be really interesting to see who matches up on him and Saunders, and also who matches up on the likes of Daly for Lauderdale across that half-back line as well.
So both teams just beginning to take their positions as they break away from their huddles. We're just minutes away from getting underway here at Skybus Oval. The umpires are in the middle of the ground, and just on the umpires, I just walked past Joel Harris, who's officiating today, and he might have the loudest set of wheels for an umpire I've ever laid eyes. Actually, the loudest set of wheels I've ever laid eyes on. He's got the white and gold Nike setups with the embossed JH37 on the side and the little Australian flag like he's running out for the Socceroos. It's just an extraordinary sight from a TSL umpire to be running that sort of gear.
Look, that's a man who probably has his sights set on higher honours, Rowie, if ever you've seen one. I've just spotted up Jeremiah Perkins, I believe, lining up in the Lauderdale defence. I thought I saw him before. He might be the late in for Bryce Walsh. I could be wrong, Rowie, though.
Yeah, that you could be absolutely spot on if you have seen him, because he would be, I suppose, the almost logical.
He's got the matchup. He's got the matchup on Calendale, it seems. So that's a little baptism of fire back into the senior side. But he has been really good, Perkins, man on man this year when he's had the opportunity.
He could be in for a long day if Daly continues his hot streak. But what a challenge it is to try and stop one of the gun small forwards in the competition. We're just about all set. Umpire Joe Harris looking very, very slick in the middle of the ground with the white and gold boots. He holds the footy aloft here at Skybus Oval. as we get underway. Lauderdale and Glenorchy, first versus third, as the tap's one down by Smith. Chance now for Lauderdale to get the first clearance through Siggins. Kerr-Newer couldn't quite take the mark. In fact, it was Saunders in the long sleeves today. He's got Kerr-Newer out wide. He elects to go inside 50 and hits a target. And McGuinness comes out and takes the mark, the flying mullet.
He's a bit of a barometer for this side when he's in. Obviously, it was a big draft prospect a couple of years ago, McGuinness. Sort of not a great run with injuries, but when he's on, when he's kicking straight, they're certainly a force to be reckoned with.
He's a gun, McGuinness, and he was one of their better performers against Glenorchy the last time they played. He kicked a handful of goals and proved a real thorn in the side of the Glenorchy defence, and he can open his account in the first minute of this one as he ambles on in, sends it on its way with the left boot. It won't quite get there. In fact, it's either a mark on the line or it's just snuck through for a minus score. Umpire says it was a minus score as the Pies immediately resume things. There's Reece Mott at halfback, kicking up beyond a wing. Contest forms. There's fist to it as a player in Camrick comes through, trying to gather the loose footy. In fact, it's Webb. Got a handball out on hands and knees. Shoveled out now by the Glenorchy player. There's Gilby going in after it. Scrapped forward into the arms of Kerr-Newer, who takes the mark at halfback for Lauderdale. His kick isn't a great one, but Elliott was good below the knees. Picked it up, found a player running past. Scrappy ball inside 50 now. Chance now for Gunther if he can bring it under his spell. He went in hard. Elliott with a chance now. A lot of long sleeves out there today for Lauderdale. Gets it back to Heavey. Little kick inside 50 was misdirected. And it's going to be chopped off by the Pies. So contest on the wing. Reeves unable to take the mark. McManus provided the spoil. A couple of really bold moves by the Glenorchy defenders paying off there, and they're going to have to be bold, I think, if they're going to be able to stop this Lauderdale attack, especially early on, Rowie. Looks like McGuinness and Bowden getting acquainted here on the wing as the ball spills free. Siggins kicks around the corner, tumbles one towards 50. Kerr-Newer now with a chance, lost his feet, was taken, and the ball will be wrapped in by an assortment of players.
It's good to see Ethan Wish-Wilson back into the Lauderdale side as well. Highly regarded down here at Lauderdale, and he's been able to string a few games together now.
Duffy and Smith do the ruck work, and it's fed up by Bell Chambers to Franklin. Those two gun midfielders combining. Sends a high, shallow ball inside 50. Chance now for Burge, who gathered cleanly, evaded the tackler. Over the top to Elliott. Heavey came bursting through, sends it on its way, but it's out of bounds on the full. So Lauderdale with a couple of early attacking forays in this one.
Yeah, they're a side like Glenorchy. You don't want to let them get a run on, but Glenorchy definitely withstanding the charge early here.
So the Pies trail by a solitary behind. It was McGuinness with an early shot on goal within the first minute to register the only score for the day so far, as the Pies bring it in now, but it's going to trickle out of bounds directly in front of the Glenorchy bench on the outer side. Not a bad day for footy here at Skybus Oval. There are some clouds overhead, but I don't think we'll see too much rain or nothing that should really affect the outcome of this match. First taking on third. State League action here in Lauderdale as Franklin gets Lauderdale forward again. Nice bit of defensive work there from Hall, who kicks beyond 50, but his kick isn't a great one. It's chopped off immediately by McGuinness. He concedes some ground as Lauderdale just look to set something up here. So the switch of play is on. There's a man on the outer side. Anderton was coming up further, but Wiggins ended up taking the mark. As I'm joined in commentary by Damien Gill, who's just adjusting his headset as we say farewell to Alex Fitz, who just had to just doing the fill-in work for a few minutes.
I appreciate it.
You made the mad dash from the Twin Ovals where the Devils were playing.
Unfortunately, didn't get the job done. The Devils, as the ball comes inside forward 50 for the Magpies, looking the Grace direction. He spies this one off. It's socket away from Wiggins. Works out well. Comes from Gilby. Gilby now His ball just short of the intended target in Bell Chambers. It's probably a fair shout for high on Karanua. It came to Saunders. Now there's Bell Chambers. Rides a couple of tackles. Hands off to Josh McGuinness. He looks for his brother Ben, but he's caught behind Gunther. Didn't deal with it that well, Gunther. But he'll get out of dodge as it's a free kick going against Ben McGuinness, I think. Or no, it's going for Ben McGuinness. So the hand signal from the umpire threw me off. It's Ben McGuinness' ball. He feigns an effort towards his brother. In the end, he'll opt to have a look at the sticks. Fine player, Ben McGuinness. This is one facet of the game he doesn't always nail. This will take a good kick. So in he comes. He's happy with it straight away. A major on the board for Lauderdale. They extend their advantage early in this one at Skybus Oval.
So McGuinness with the first 2 scores of the game, a goal and a behind. And if my memory serves me correct, Damien Gill, it was McGuinness last time against the Pies who caused a few headaches.
Yeah, it was. He very, very good, as he often can do in the forward half of the ground. Just goes for his marks, and he's just a dangerous type. Very hard to match up on. But it's a good matchup, that one, actually. Him and Gunther, probably good players from both ends.
Yeah, it's a cracking battle. One we'll have an eye on all day as the Pies attempt to win the clearance out of the middle. They do so through Mod, who sends a high ball towards half forward, but Anderson gets underneath it and takes a strong chest mark. He's got Burge out here on the commentary wing. The kick will miss the mark. Burge will get to it, gather it. The loose footy, handballs backwards, concedes some ground. That's a nice kick in the Saunders direction. Unable to complete the grab. Burge will go after it again. He's just trying to track it and gather it cleanly. Eventually did so. Missed the target by a hand. The umpire says it's spilled out of bounds and we'll have a boundary throw in. So 3 McGuinness boys out there today. Matt, Ben and Josh all representing the Lauderdale Footy Club. Umpire throws it in. A little hack kick forward was ineffective from Glenorchy. Anderton flew after the ball, gathered it cleanly, got out of handball. Chance now for the Pies. The kick is spoiled from Brennan. Roberts, I should say. So another boundary thrown right half forward for Glenorchy. Smith and Duffy do battle. No clear winner in the tap. Flying shot towards goal. A high long ball inside 50. Nobody able to take the mark. Bodies flying everywhere. Daly gathers it. He's tackled by Anderton. Probably the 2 smallest blokes on the ground. And it's all wrapped up inside the Glenorchy forward 50.
The ball to be thrown up around 50. Tyler Bowden was in front, but coming over the top was Wiggins. Siggins gets out his kick. It just bounces inside the boundary line. Be thrown in. Interesting to see how they deploy Matt McGuinness. And a bit of banter there with his Devils teammate, Banks Smith, as the ball comes in again. Smith and Duffy, commanding hit out from Duffy. It's gathered, and now with James Webb, a pokey little ball for Tyler Bowden. He feeds back out to James Webb in the right forward pocket. He goes towards Banks Smith, who steers goalward and steers well. Really well finished off, Banks Smith. Cuts the margin to a point. So Glenorchy answer early in this one at Skybus Oval.
Yeah, nice little finish there from Banks Smith and good hustle from Glenorchy. That was not a great forward entry, but Banks Smith pounced on a reasonably loose ball and made no mistake. And those opportunistic type goals are the ones that generally can be the difference at times. So a good start here at Lauderdale Oval. Lauderdale lead by a single point. These 2 teams really vying for bragging rights. First versus third on the TSL ladder as we go back into the middle. Massive bodies converge. A little hack kick out of there by Reeves. Daly shoved his opponent underneath it. No free kick was called. Chance now for Lauderdale as they work things out by hand. Here is McGuinness, who kicks towards half forward. He's got a man running, gathers the footy. I think it was Wilson who got on the loose ball. Little kick inside 50, was off the knee of Saunders. Unable to take the mark. It's mopped up by Webster, who hits the target. So Geared, short ball now to Camrick. Prolific ball winner, as we've spoken about. He dishes off to Webster, who kicks towards half forward. Nobody out the back for the Pies. On hands and knees was Trupp. Wanted up, but only as far as Banks Smith, who had a flying shot for his second goal. Was spoilt, though. Now the footy finds itself in Lauderdale hands. Elliott now, swooping handball out to a teammate in Williams. He kicks wide. He's got Heavey at half forward. Kick inside 50 from Heavey is ill-guided and will spill out of bounds.
It's that fast, free-flowing Lauderdale movement we've got used to across the season. They've been very imperious in 2019. Today, well, it'd be a further statement of what they're intending to do at the pointy end of the year. Glenorchy, one of the teams they'll be battling it out, that's for sure. As the ball comes in again, Smith off his hands, Camrick comes away. What a season he's having. Here's Bierman. He's bared down on. Good tackle applied by McManus. It'll be a ball up just around the arc. Defensive half for the black and white. So Reeves dueling in there with Smith, big Hayden Smith. Neither gets meaningful contact. Out the back, Camrick squeezes out his kick. Heavey first in the foot race. Hands off for McManus. McManus squirts out a handball, not his best. Falls to Jay Bowden. Eludes one and then kicks towards 50. Bouncing ball is well cut off by Raglione. Arches the back and hands off for Jeremiah Perkins. He goes onto the outer wing. There's Matt McGuinness. Matt McGuinness, a sure user by a foot. That's a wobbly ball.
That's a good Mockers.
Commentary Mockers, almost at least one or two a weekend. Mott picks out something he likes on the outer side. Matt McGuinness does well to bring it unstuck. Bearing down is Daly. When he's sniffing around, or you'd be sweating. Picking up this one is Matt McGuinness. He's better on this occasion. Finds Burge. Loses the footy. Banks Smith brings it back the other way, but kicks it out on the full. Big Lauderdale ball. Chilly afternoon down here at Lauderdale. The weather somewhat kind so far, Chris Rowbottom.
Yeah, it's been worse down here, I can tell you that. It's fine for footy as Glenorchy looked to go inside 50. It was ripped off his kick in the end, but Lauderdale will emerge with the ball through Bell Chambers. That's a wonderful kick to half forward as McGuinness gets out and takes it on his chest. Wishes to play on immediately. Sees something he likes in the forward pocket. It was Burge. Kick was affected by Reeves. Burge with another chance now. Received the ball. Went around the corner on the right foot. Kick was affected though. Glenorchy with a chance to clear. Ball spills to Geared. Little one around the corner was interesting to say the least. Ends up in the arms of Franklin, who hits the handball to Gilby. Wobbly old ball towards goal. They need to get hands on it. And they did so, and it spills over for a minor score.
It was good play again, but you're right, a wobbler. I thought it was going to end in a goal for a second. But luckily for Glenorchy, it was Trad Duggan back there. He got hands on it, or was it Hall? One of the two. Trad Duggan from full back now. Just hits the point of centre half back and finds Geared. Geared now swings out the outer wing. See something he likes. I think it's Roberts operating out there in the long sleeves. So Roberts just pops this one up, gives it some air. It'll come down with snow on it, almost for Grace. He loves to fly at the footy. Swooping at the back was Franklin. Gilby just chucked it on the boot, and it worked out okay. Wiggins. So Wiggins looks across and looks to switch and finds Bell Chambers. He'll be keen to go. That's his modus operandi. Drops it off for Siggins. Siggins inside 50 now. Ben McGuinness from behind makes a contest of it, brings it to the ground. Burge, interesting little kick off no steps. It's gathered by Webster and he won't miss his target. Just eluding the outstretched arms of Millhouse, and he helps it over. So it'll be thrown in right in front of the commentary position here at Skybus Oval. An arm wrestle
Already McGuinness causing some headaches. Gunther going to him, and what a duel that intends to be during the course of this afternoon as the over-end kick from Siggins ends up in the arms of Burge. So Sam Burge, who is the Bryce Walsh lookalike, both in playing style and general appearance, will kick for goal. Tight angle. He'll be about 40 metres out when he sets sail. He improves it, tries to get it bending around right to left, and he's unable to do so. Another minus score for Lauderdale. They lead by 3. They're 1-3-9 to 1 straight.
So Webster from full back. Measured ball is a good one. Finds Duggan. So Trad Duggan can just pop over the top to Webb. Gilby closes the gap. Gets there in time and fists over. So the kick left a little bit to be desired there. Sold Webb into a bit of trouble. And Lauderdale did what they needed to through Gilby to close it down. So the ball to come in. Smith and Duffy dueling. Contest virtually halved. Coming through was Camrick. He's having a fine season. He couldn't get enough space on this occasion. Matt McGuinness feeds out a handball. Finds Smith. Perkins, interesting kick. Lands in the arm of Grace. It's block ball from Grace. And Perkins follows up an early errant effort with a good one.
Yeah, Jeremiah Perkins.
The Bullfrog, he'd have to be called.
The Bullfrog, absolutely, without any shadow of doubt. Boundary throw in right in front of our commentary position. Trupp was there. Grace just shoved his opponent out of the way in Trupp. Scrapped off a ball. It eventually ended up with Bill Chambers, though, for Lauderdale. Here's Baker kicking inside 50. Bang, Smith wrapped up in a big tackle. Calls of ball. Umpire will say, I'll have it, please. And we mentioned before you arrived, Gilly, about Joel Harris and the extremely loud wheels that he's running today. White and gold Nike setups.
They're Colgate white, aren't they?
Colgate white with the gold tick, with the initials embossed on the side. I'll get your thoughts on that in a minute. As Gilby attempts to take the mark, tackles Millhouse to the ground, ball to be won at ground level. Jeremiah the Bullfrog Perkins is there. It's all wrapped up. The brand new white Nikes with the gold swoosh, the JH37 and the Australian flag embossed on there as well.
Australian flag?
Yeah, like he's running out in a World Cup. Bizarre.
Oh my. Like he's Tim Cahill or something.
Siggins on hands and knees, tries to win it out. Trupp's there. Can he gather the footy? Unable to. Still to be won. Baker got a handball out. Umpire's plucked out a free kick. He's called a throw.
He's stiff there, Baker, I think.
Joel Harris with a little bit of creative license, maybe. The boots maybe going to his head.
Yeah, maybe he just thinks if he pings something on this side, they might get a close-up with the camera close. But no, a bit stiff on that occasion, I reckon, young Baker. But he'd be looking to get in some good form, potentially get himself back in Devil's reckoning. Kick down the line from Grace, good fist over the top from Wiggins. And this is a really fascinating battle, Chris Rowbottom. Lauderdale probably look the better team, but in fairness, Glenorchy they've done well to shut them down.
Low scoring affair.
So it comes in again. Duffy jostles for position. He was worked out of it by Smith. Coming through was Baker. Hands out. Soccering was Mott. Pretty clever. Gilby comes across. Brings it to ground. Mott now gets his kick away, but it's in the arms of Wiggins. He's operating off half-back. We know they have that luxury with the likes of McGuinness and Wiggins where they can just throw them around. And here's another one in that mix. Matt McGuinness, he's been playing mainly on a wing today. You can play him forward, you can play him back. You just about play him anywhere. Finds his brother Josh. Skipper of this side. Long raking boot looking in the Trupp direction. Sits under it. Does enough to bring it to ground. Here's the Bullfrog Perkins. That's an undergrounder. There's a whistle. It's going to come back. And
abuse.
Right, it's going the way of Grace. This is interesting.
So I actually heard that. It was Glenorchy abuse. So Grace, there's been another whistle. So another kick's been paid now against Lauderdale, which will take Glenorchy all the way up to about 15 to 20 metres out of goal. Tight angle. Jay Bowden, and he's being marched to the goal square. So Jay Bowden will make no mistake from here. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there or what's been said or done, but Lauderdale boys have got on the wrong side of the umpire there. He's paid the free kick, the downfield, the 50-metre penalty. Jay Bowden slots one through from the top of the goal square, and Glenorchy take the lead.
That was chaotic, to say the least, wasn't it? I'm not sure exactly what went on there, but 2 straight 12. They haven't had too many opportunities, Glenorchy, and they've taken them when they have presented. But I'm not... Yeah, that was difficult to follow.
I thought Perkins might have got one around the shoulder, and then the ump might have copped a little bit of lip from a Lauderdale player who didn't necessarily agree that that was play on.
Yeah, Trupp seemed to be in the frame somewhere, but anyway... Matters the most on the scoreboard because that is costly. 2 goals straight and Glenorchy claim a lead. So Smith down at the feet. There's another whistle. I think this one will go the way of Lauderdale. Geared with close contact on Franklin. So Franklin now from the bullseye in the middle of the ground. Just pops it up for Matt McGuinness. Able to mop up. Hands it back. Finds Siggins. Another whistle. This one's off the ball again and it's going the way of Glenorchy, I suspect. So I don't know what's happening out there for Lauderdale, but they need to get this in check as Daly kicks towards Reeves. He brings it to ground. Gilby farms out. Here's Franklin. Out the back, he finds Wiggins. Off the chest of Daly. Couldn't bring it in. It's now through Webster inside. Low, worm-burning effort. Is gathered by Jeremiah the Bullfrog Perkins,
who's been okay so far today. He finds a target. It's now going to be brought back inside. Nat Franklin with the footy. Still inside defensive 50 for Lauderdale. Wiggins takes the mark. He sees Anderton. It's a shocking kick straight to Camry, who floats across and takes an easy intercept mark. He sends a high ball inside 50 now for Glenorchy, looking for Grace. Bowden at the fall of the ball, trying to just swing something towards the big sticks. But the kick is affected and is out of bounds. So tempers may be flaring out there with a few little off-the-ball free kicks.
Fascinating game. Really strong opening term. Fares well for a good afternoon.
So in it comes. Reeves did the ruck work, patted it behind himself to Geared, who might have been held off. It hacked off the ground now in the Lauderdale direction. They're not out of the woods yet. As Trad Duggan picks it up in the centre of the ground, looks to go inside 50 again, couldn't find a target. Trupp did really well, met it on the bounce, handballed it out. Duggan kept coming though. Couldn't effect an effective disposal. Out to Franklin, who now sends Williams in motion on the outer wing. Lauderdale can go now through Williams. Saunders at half forward. Couldn't quite take the mark, but did well to just keep it moving forward. Big Smith gets down low. Couldn't gather cleanly. Chance now for the Pies to run it out of defence. Kick was not a good one. There's been a whistle for a free kick.
So plenty of whistles early in this one. Will be a Glenorchy ball from the defensive arc. Just a pokey little ball. Gives enough air for Bowden to run onto. Close checking from Josh McGuinness. So Jay Bowden, a little pokey ball looking for Duffy. Coming across was Kieran Ewer doing the defensive stuff. Sees it out of play.
It's not really his playbook, is it? Flying across with a double fist, Kieran Ewer. He's more a sit on someone's head and take the mark sort of operator.
That and the silk. But you'd be happy to see that, Coach Darren Winter doing the team things as the ball comes back in again. Duffy, good hit out, down for Geared. Geared swings it toward 50. Tyler Bowden was just dealt with. Still there for Glenorchy. Bounding away is Anderton. Does well, but his kick doesn't quite reach Smith. So Duffy now, a little eager. Drops it off for Arnold. Arnold now will look towards 50. The target's Tyler Bowden. He's done well. Had about 3 bites of the cherry. It wasn't paid from the umpire. Gilby makes it someone else's problem. And it might just be the boundary umpire who says out on the full.
He did really well there, Tyler Bowden, with the body work and then just couldn't quite complete the mark. although he thought he had, but umpire said no, and I tend to agree with the umpire. I don't think he quite clasped it as Bowden will fly at it again, and it's off hands into the Glenorchy forward 50, and Bowden is all up in his opponent in Belchambers' grill. So we'll lock it in again. Glenorchy lead this one by 3 points, 2 straight 12. Plays 1-3-9, 25 gone. Another free kick, and it will go Glenorchy's way. So, not sure if that was over the shoulder or if there was a bit of hanging on, but Sam Reeves has the footy.
I think it was over the shoulder against the big ruckman Smith.
So as Hayden Smith makes his way back to the goal line to try and affect the kick, Sam Reeves will make his way in and attempt to kick Glenorchy's third. So in he comes, and it's an absolute horror show off the side of the boot, and it will not register a score.
He's hit the wrong bit of that. It was nasty off the boot. Gilby pokes it towards Wiggins. Now, I haven't seen Lauderdale in a little while, but Jacob Gilby down back is interesting to observe, isn't it? We've known him mainly since he's returned to the TSLs that forward as the ball comes off the boot of Wiggins. It was brought down in Glenorchy arms. Belchambers keeps alive and finds Franklin. He just slaps out a kick. Bounces by Baker. He might get his hands on it here. He does. It's off to Wish Wilson, who just was pickpocketed. It's nice creative stuff from Glenorchy. I think it might have been Brennan. Made something of it and then swung it on the boot and got it in the right area of the ground. So gained valuable territory in the dying stage of this quarter.
Looked like they had the numbers around the contest there, Lauderdale, but Glenorchy able to, as you say, pickpocket the footy and get things moving forward as they look to do exactly that again. Jay Bowden sends a long ball towards goal, and it's across the face for a minor score. So 2-1-13. Glenorchy lead 1-3-9 to Lauderdale. 27 gone. Ball comes in. There is Gilby, as you say, playing in the defensive.
He's had a lot of the ball.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. Might be his skills off half-back that Coach Darren Winter might be looking to utilise. They do have good options up forward, to be fair, so maybe he's a luxury.
And he's actually a really good runner, Jacob Gilby. So it's a part of his game that he can bring to the fore in defence.
Here's McManus. Kicks into the middle of the ground for Lauderdale. Missed the mark. Arnold mops up for Glenorchy. Sends them inside 50. Grace tracking back. Hasn't had much of an influence on this one yet, Aiden Grace, but they have certainly been looking for him.
They've done well to blanket him and Cullen Daly. Neither's really had much say on it. Bowden's looked like the one, as in Jay Bowden. Their forward entries have mainly been pretty dirty when they have come in. So there's a siren for the first quarter here at Skybus Oval. Lauderdale controlled a lot of the quarter, but they enter the first break with a deficit. It's Glenorchy 2-1-13. Lauderdale more scoring shots, 1-3-9.
Well, it was that first Banks-Smith goal opportunistic finish, which was good to get Glenorchy on the board, but then it was a couple of brain fades from Lauderdale that sent Jay Bowden to the goal square, not a man who you want the ball in the hands of as an opposition player. Only the 2 goals kicked for Glenorchy, and Lauderdale, as you say, have had the bulk of the scoring opportunities in their half of the ground. They do trail, though, but I think both teams would go in reasonably happy. Lauderdale would say, well, yes, we trail on the scoreboard, but nothing we can't fix there in terms of those little brain fades. And Glenorchy would be saying, well, Lauderdale probably controlled the game, but we're in front. So positives to take out from both teams at quarter time.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look at the goal kickers, just the one for Lauderdale, but a pretty dangerous one in Ben McGuinness. He's also had a behind or 2 to go with it. He's looked like being a real handful when they have got it inside 50. For Glenorchy, you talked about Banksmith's opportunistic finish and Jay Bowden from the goal line after a couple of free kicks were given away. So that's the equation at quarter time. A low-scoring affair, a cagey affair, and one that it leaves it nicely poised for the 3 quarters that follow.
Yeah, it certainly does. We mentioned pre-match Bryce Walsh. He was named in the team today, but he is not playing. We understand he's travelling or on the way back from overseas.
Yeah, my understanding was he might have got in last night, which would have been a big ask to come back from the US and fly back in. It would have been very, very jet lagged to come out and play his footy, but you'd see him back in the side next week. But it's just got so many stars across every line, Lauderdale. Look very, very, very dangerous. And as you said, Glenorchy would be sitting here pretty happy that they hold a lead, because we saw some of the nice flashes of play from Lauderdale amongst that. But Karen Newer hasn't gone into the game too much. Saunders can still add more to it. The one that's been lively so far has been McGuinness, but there's a whole lot more that forward line can bring to life for Lauderdale. And they've got the benefit to be able to move the magnets as well. You've got Sam Siggins on ball at the moment, Matt McGuinness on a wing, Wiggins down back. They can change it all up. Gilby down back. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds going forward. What have you liked from Glenorchy's side of the equation, I guess?
Well, before we get into that, just some of the matchups that I wanted to sort of touch on. McGuinness and Gunther, it's a juicy matchup in the back half of the ground and the forward half of the ground for Lauderdale. McGuinness currently winning that one. Gunther, not an easy defender to get on top on. I think Anderton's got Daly, who's doing a pretty good job.
Yep.
He's held Daly. I'm not sure how many disposals, but it wouldn't be many. And Anderton's had a little bit of the ball himself, being able to create off half back. Looks like Josh McGuinness has Jay Bowden, and
that is juicy.
That is just the elite of the elite in Tasmania, isn't it? So those two going head to head is a real show. And as you say, Gilby playing down back, and the ability for Darren to be able to move those magnets might pose some headaches for Glenorchy. I've liked from Glenorchy, they don't seem too concerned about how they get it inside 50. They're just sort of tumbling it in, throwing it in there, and just trying to allow the likes of Bowden and Daly and these guys go to work. They have looked for Grace a couple of times, and he's being well held at the moment. But I like their mindset. Get it inside 50, create chances. If you can't take them out, bring it to ground. Pretty standard footy basics, but that seems to be what they're doing, and it come off with that Bank Smith goal, and they got the other one through Bowden as well. So for a team that hasn't controlled the game like they would like to in the first quarter, they're doing okay.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with that. Grace is one. His hands just haven't quite been on yet, but if they can feed him, he can sell light the game. But I just have this feeling this one could go to the wire. Could be an absolute belter. I think defensively, Glenorchy have been very good just to limit the spread and impact of Lauderdale, because when they open you up, they can really pile on the goals, and they haven't been able to just yet. So low-scoring affair probably suits Glenorchy. Having said that, they've got firepower themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any team really running away with this one. And we saw that game out at KG5 a few weeks ago, where an undermanned Glenorchy were able to get on top of Lauderdale, maybe because of the bigger expanses of the ground, perhaps. They were able to use the space a little bit better. You don't get that down at Lauderdale, do you? It's more it's the tight confines, I suppose, and we know, and we've spoken about it for years, that Lauderdale base their footy on contested and tight and in-close footy. So whether or not that comes into play remains to be seen, but gee, Glenorchy have some pretty good in tight, close, big body midfielders themselves, don't they? So Ben Camrick probably hasn't been as prolific as we've seen in the past few weeks. Not sure if he's having if he's got a run with player with him or a tagger, but
I don't think so. But I just think they're wary of him, because they've seen that, you know, Duffy likes to tap it into open spaces where Camrick can use his speed and burst onto the ball, and you're just seeing whoever it is around each stoppage, someone's got the job of sort of guarding and make sure that he can't just burst through like he's done so often this season. I think they're probably missing Rundle, who was out of the side. They'd love to have him out there, just another big body around the ball, up against a side like Lauderdale, who have plenty of them. But they're right in the contest. In fact, they hold a lead, so they're nicely positioned here, the Magpies, up against it's hard to put an absolute favouritism on the flag, but it'd be hard to look past Lauderdale, given the fact that they've beaten North Launceston and all the weaponry inside their 22.
You would have to think that opposition teams, Glenorchy, Launceston, North Launceston, all the opposition teams would think to themselves that beating Lauderdale at Lauderdale is a pretty good barometer of where they're at, and if you can do that, then you're going okay, especially a Lauderdale team that is all but full strength today. I think Bryce Walsh probably the only major name that would probably be missing out of the team. But all their stars are playing. All the McGuinness boys are lining up. Sam Siggins is out there. Hayden Smith's in the ruck.
Wiggins.
Yep. Bell Chambers and Franklin and Karen and all these guys are playing today. So, yeah, it's if you can beat Lauderdale at Lauderdale, you're well on your way, and I think that would probably give you a good indication of the sort of footy that you're playing. So we are back in the middle for the start of the second term here at Lauderdale. That bounce was a little bit skew-if. It favoured Smith, who tapped it down. Franklin able to win out a handball eventually, only as far as Camrick, who just puts it out in front of Duffy. He looks to paddle it forward. The big clash of the Titans as Smith just lurches over him and wraps him up, and the ball is held in for a ball up. It's going to be a good battle today as well, isn't it? Smith and Duffy. So Smith, straight down the throat of Siggins, fed out the handball wide. Webb on hands and knees for the Pies. It's just dinked forward there off the toe of a Lauderdale player, but it'll spill out of bounds on the outer side, about 15 metres around from the Glenorchy bench.
You spoke of Smith and Duffy, two vastly different styles, but both quality ruckmen in this competition as the ball comes in again. Let's see that duel. Smith with a hit out. Jay Bowden just squeezes out a handball. Duffy gets his kick away, and it's a good one on the chest of Tyler Bowden. Presented well. It was the kick into vacant space, and he just hit up, took the ball, and will now line up for Glenorchy's third.
And that's just another one of those sort of slightly tumbly balls inside 50, but Bowden was the man in front, first to react and took the mark.
So Tyler Bowden playing a key role in this Glenorchy side, really, as a foil for Grace. He comes on in, gives it a ride, wasn't immediately happy with it off the boot, and that's why the goal umpire signals are behind off the woodwork. So it'll be Raglioni to bring it out from full back.
Yeah, been a pretty consistent senior player this year, Raglioni. He started last year and been pretty good for Lauderdale ever since. So Lauderdale in control of the footy. It's a nice kick across the ground to find Siggins. But now he seems to be hemmed in as he just says, boys, give me something. Eventually just dumps it up the wing. High, long ball. It's going to work really nicely though for Saunders, who come out and met it first. Takes it on the chest. He's looking to get things moving on his left boot. Kicks up towards half forward. Gunther couldn't take the mark. Spoil came from Burge, who went in back after it. He was tackled by Webb. Little handball out now to Heavey. Nice bit of tap work onto a teammate. But it falls out of bounds eventually. So it just still feels like a feeling out process a little bit, doesn't it? I know that we're a quarter deep into this one, but it just still feels like we're just waiting for things to really break open in this game. Down it comes. Bowden, outside of the right boot, tumbles one up towards the wing for Glenorchy. Perkins couldn't gather it cleanly. Went in again. Camrick for company. He got a handball out to Mott. Had some company. Had to get rid of it quickly and did. McManus brought it down to ground. Chance now for the Pies. Here is Camrick again. Runs all the way to 50. Kicks toward goal. Will it bounce through? It might just... No. Across the face, misses, minus score Glenorchy. So peppering early the Pies.
While all that was unfolding, Cal Daly behind play. I think he might have caught one in the eye. So he's making his way off the ground now as the ball comes from Wiggins to Siggins. Siggins, little one over the top. That's a bit of Heavey. Coming across was Reeves. Heavey now burrows in. Feeds it out for McManus. Has his ball blocked. Camrick tries to use that turn of foot. He just drops it off. Here is Bowden. Loses his footing, claiming a tackle, but he's copped him high. Has Trupp.
Man down for Glenorchy as well. Might be Bailey Bester. But just when you think you've got Jay Bowden where you want him, free kick.
You see this one again. He's just clopped it.
It's that downward motion, isn't it?
Just copping around far. And another give me 50.
Well,
this is ludicrous.
I'm not sure how it can be excused that Jay Bowden has been marched to the goal square twice.
And here is his second, Jay Bowden. You don't need to gift this guy goals, but that's what they've done so far today. 2 from the goal line.
Well, maybe that's their thinking. They're thinking, well, he's going to kick it anyway, no matter where he is. So we might as well make it worth it.
A strange theory if it is the case, but some ill discipline really costing Lauderdale at this point in time. Darren Winter and the coaching staff would have to be pretty unhappy with how that's unfolding, because now it's a handy lead, a 2-goal lead for Glenorchy.
Certainly is. 2 straight kicks, the advantage to the Pies. 5 minutes gone in this second term. Bowden already has 2 goals, both from a combined total meterage of about 10 metres after consecutive 50-metre penalties. It doesn't matter how you get them for the Pies, because they lead this match. Back in the middle now. Duffy, spiralling ball towards half forward, unable to be taken as Reeves gathers cleanly. Kick around the corner in the Bowden direction. Ends up in the hands of Grace, who kicks over his right shoulder, and he makes no mistake. So Bowden and Grace, 2 of the big guns, get on the board. Glenorchy extend the advantage to 18.
They've got the jump in this term, Glenorchy. They're really hitting it on the scoreboard. You sense that the left of screen might be the scoring end, just the way the plays unfolded so far today. But the key difference is between the two sides is Glenorchy have put it on the board to date. 4 goals, 3. 3-goal lead on the hosts. He's searching for an immediate response here. Otherwise, could be a real uphill battle. Bounce down. One convincingly by Duffy, straight out in front of the runner. That was Camrick. He goes again, has a second crack out. Nice delivery onto the chest of Grace. Silver service.
Camrick starting to have a little bit of influence. I think he's had 3 disposals.
Well,
second term.
You'll watch that hit out again. Well, if we had the benefit of going far back that far, the hit out from Duffy was sensational. It was right out in front of Camrick and it allowed him just to run onto it. And Baker had been given the job to check, and he just arrived a little too late. Anyway, shot come on goal. Here is Aiden Grace. He loves it! Another for Grace. 2 in no time, and it's turned the game on its head, and Glenorchy own it.
He's a man you don't want to light a fire under, isn't he, Aiden Grace? And, well, he's kicked two in 2 minutes to extend the lead to 24 points. And, yeah, Lauderdale might need to just rethink a little bit as to what they're doing or what their setup might be, because it's been straight out of the middle 2 times. Camrick, as we mentioned, he's getting hands on the footy, and when he does, that's usually
inside
the result.
50 was splendid.
Yeah, it was a chiselling ball. So back in the middle again for the 3rd time already this quarter as Glenorchy kicked multiple goals to get us underway. Smith on hands and knees. He couldn't wrench it out as Glenorchy looked to go forward again. Anderton meets it first. He's ridden into the ground. Umpire says, "I'll have it, please." So I mentioned there was that feeling out process still happening. We're waiting for something to sort of explode, and it feels like it has now with Glenorchy kicking the first handful of goals. But Lauderdale are on the march here. Bell Chambers swoops out a long handball in the Wiggins direction. He sets sail from, well, a long way out, but it was across the face and off hands for a minor score. 23 points the margin. Glenorchy 5-3-33. They lead Lauderdale 1-4-10. 9 minutes gone, second term.
Trad Duggan straight on the chest of Mott, who spins and looks out in the Reeves direction. Roberts got rid of Anderton in that one. Perhaps lucky to get away with it. Reeves inside 50 now. Tyler Bowden didn't really look like he wanted the footy. Coming through was Bierman. Gathering was Wiggins. His handball went to black and white instead of red and black, and Anderton is clipped high. So it'll be a relieving free kick for the Bombers. So Anderton, the helmeted defender, just puts this one out to Baker. He's a player they need to get into the game, being pretty quiet. Kicks in the Ben McGuinness direction, doesn't get to him. Gathering well. It was a handball meant for Webb, didn't get to him either. And here comes Bell Chambers, who looks towards Matt McGuinness. Did well to manoeuvre his opponent out of the way, but Burgess' opponent came across and cut off. So Arnold now from deep defence.
That was a really nice defensive mark taken back there. Can't say the same about the kick. That spills out of bounds. So boundary throwing, a couple of little forward thrusts from Lauderdale in response to the early Glenorchy barrage in this term. They need to get one back, that's for sure. They lead by 23 points, the Pies, as the knockdown comes to Franklin. He releases Bell Chambers, who wanted to give it off to Kerrin Ewer. Went and got the footy that he spilled. Eventually ended up with Heavey. Now it is out to Franklin, who goes outside of the right boot. That's a wonderful finish, Nat Franklin. And that's just the spark that Lauderdale needed. Nat Franklin, a very, very classy player. And he makes no mistake there. Outside of the right boot. Didn't mind that one, Gilly.
No, very nice finish from Nat Franklin. And you're right, Lauderdale needed that one. It just ends a little Glenorchy onslaught. So the ball in the middle again. Really good contest we have on our hands. Glenorchy with a lead as it stands. Up it goes, Smith and Duffy. Duffy with a hit out straight to Geard. Geard out of the centre square and looking inside 50 at the fall is Daly, as he oh so often is. Just steers him board. Don't know if it was 15. It's a Geard mark. He's clipped just after. I think he was trying to milk it for the 50. He's not getting the 50 on this occasion, so he'll take his kick. Middle of the arc.
Not a noted goal kicker, John Geard.
No, it'll be every bit of 50, but at the point he kicks it, you'd think. 48, 47, around that sort of range. John Geard. From the arc, gives it a ride, never looked goalward, but Grace is there, brings it to the ground. There is Daly. Can he run on in? He can. Puts it through. Grace and Daly. Don't let them into the ball game or they'll make you pay.
Well, that's exactly right. Grace couldn't take the mark, but he did bring it down to ground. And who was there? Callan Daly, swooping as he does and has done all year. Right at the foot of the pack, picks it up, makes no mistake. Nice finish. As you say, the geared kick never looked like it, but that's what can happen out of a kick that doesn't look like much. You get a good forward that can affect the contest, bring it to ground, and you got a good small forward that can crumb and finish, then you can still get a goal out of a poor shot. That's exactly what has happened there. So Glenorchy hit back after that Nat Franklin goal, and they'll look to go forward once more. Handball missed its mark. He's Siggins now. His kick wasn't the finest. Little left foot tumbler around the corner, tracking it along the ground. Mott will get there first, gathers cleanly. He generally doesn't miss a target, but gives it straight back to Siggins. So Siggins kicks towards half forward for Lauderdale. Pack of players fly. Gunther's in there going towards the ball at ground level. Gilby was all over him. Ball gets sent back forward towards the wing. Daly just lurking and pouncing. Gives it off to Camerick, who kicks in the Grace direction. He's a long way from home, too far out to score, you would think. So Grace to just pop this one up in the Reeves direction. He couldn't go back and complete the mark. The fist came from behind. Chance now for the Bombers. Franklin gave it off to Perkins. He released a player by hand. Now it's Burge in the middle of the ground. There's been a whistle. It might be a downfield free kick. It is. Umpire says play on. Baker, can he hit a target inside 50? He can, and McGuinness ends up with the footy. So Lauderdale go from end to end there. And they'll have a shot on goal from Matt McGuinness. A kick from probably right on the paint or just inside it. Slight angle, but certainly a man capable of slotting this one through the big sticks. So McGuinness for Lauderdale to erase that Callan Daly goal at the other end. He ambles on in, sets sail with his left boot. It's working its way back. Big fly in the square. It's fisted into the post for a minor score.
Gee, it was a nice looking kick. Just didn't have the journey in the end, did it? So Webster wastes no time. Away he goes. Long powering ball. Looking in the direction of Geert. It ends up in his hands and he finds Camrick, who spills the footy. Comes out the back to Burge. Burge over the top. Finds Baker. Arches the back. Inside forward 50. A handball for Kerenua. We haven't called his name too often. He's met by both sides as the black and white elevator doors just closed around him. He's holding the ball.
Yeah, he tried to spin out of that initial Webster tackle, but he didn't get too far.
So there is Webster. He picks out Reeves, who waits for it, invites in the Gilby pressure, and Gilby climbs on top. Unfortunately for Jacob Gilby, it was a little too over-exuberant. Be a Reeves ball. So Reeves looking for the short option. He's not confident in this kick. And he pokes towards Jay Bowden. There's a free kick against the master. Out from McGuinness that finds Williams. Williams looking in the direction of Heavey. Didn't quite get to him. Heavey gathers, spills out the footy, and out it goes.
Boundary throw in, just forward of our commentary position, commentary side wing. Siggins almost missed the ball, just a deft little tap. It'll end up in Lauderdale hands. Saunders kicks inside 50 from the Bombers. Ended up in the hands of Elliott, who thought about a shot on goal, eventually went back inboard. It ended up with Baker, who will eventually finish it off. And Damien Gill, you said Nick Baker needs to get involved. And that's exactly what he's done. Good finish. Lauderdale starting to hit the scoreboard. Glenorchy 6-3-39. Still have the advantage over the Bombers, who are 3-5-23. Just a tick over 17 minutes gone in this second term.
We haven't called Elliott's name too often. I reckon that might have been his first touch in that passage, but it came out to Baker and he showed his skill in finishing off that one. The last time they hit back with a goal, Glenorchy had the quick answer. They need a couple in a row, Lauderdale, just to light a fire under this. Siggins in the ruck now, but he lets Duffy just jump and have it on his own. Commanding hit out. Raglione meets it, soccers it a couple of times. Eventually gets it to Heavey. Does well on a burst. Finds Bellchambers. Off now for McManus. Shake and bake. Gets his kick away. An underground ball just bounces off the chest of McGuinness. It was Webb that was caught. Webster goes backward to find the releasing kick. It's worked out okay. And here's Camrick. He can use his toe. Gets a handball over the top for Bowden. Got a bit of space, Jay Bowden. Jay Bowden looking towards Reeves. Oh, contact. Yeah, it was front on contact from Jacob Gilby. I thought it was pretty obvious. We'll see on the replay screen just here. He might have made a vague effort to look at the ball after he'd made contact, but the damage was done. And Sam Reeves can line up and should put through another for the Pies. So Lauderdale's defence probably the worry for Darren Winter right now as Sam Reeves comes in, steers it through. It's a 7th for the Pies, and they again answer Lauderdale as Lauderdale try and edge back into this game.
Back out to 22 points in favour of Glenorchy. They had that early little barrage where they kicked a couple to extend their quarter time lead, and then Lauderdale sort of hit back, and now it's a goal for goal type operation. But we're certainly into a rhythm here at Lauderdale Oval, that's for sure. Glenorchy have looked the better team thus far. We are back in the middle. Have Lauderdale got an answer? It's a terrible bounce. We'll see it recalled. So up it goes again. This one is straight up in the air. Smith and Duffy do battle. Burge, I think it was, on hands and knees, just shovels out a handball. Only as far as Daly was ripped off it by Franklin. Webb tried to move it forward. Burge fed out the handball to McManus. He loops one over the top now to Saunders. Chance now for Siggins. He gets one over the top, looking for Franklin. Couldn't quite gather cleanly. Saunders hacked it off the ground. Inside 50 now for Lauderdale. Saunders emerges with it again. Wheels around onto the left boot. That's a nice kick to Burge, steaming out. Burge elects against a shot on goal. Kicks into the pocket, and it'll fall into the arms of Elliott. And Damien Gill... mentioned Baker, he kicked the goal. You mentioned Elliott, and I think they can hear you out there. Maybe sort of just trying to
got the stream on somewhere.
Yeah, they've got the stream on in the earpiece or something. As Elliott's taken a mark, and he'll shoot for his first. So in he comes. Looks pretty good off the boot. He likes it. He applauds it through. And Matt Elliott has his first for Lauderdale as they hit back once more.
Well, we know he's an experienced player, and that's one of the reasons why we've got him in the setup, but he's also a very nice finisher in front of the sticks, and that's what he did on that occasion. They've lacked a little bit of that finishing off today, particularly in the first term. But again, this goal for goal sort of rhetoric unfolds. We're in the middle again. After a really low-scoring quarter, it's sprung to life in this second term. There's a whistle. It's a warning for 666. I think it might have been against Glenorchy as James Webb eventually goes to take his place in defence. So umpire Joel Harris, who, would you believe, running an audacious set of wheels as the bounce comes down. It was well won by Smith. Franklin tried to gather, ended up soccering to the outer side. Picking up was Camrick, squirts out a handball. Gathering was the Bullfrog Perkins. Look at that work. Arches the back, kicks long towards Ben McGuinness, who's gone out of the game in this quarter, it must be said. There'll be a stoppage inside forward 50 for Lauderdale.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? Haven't called his name. Called his brother a couple of times.
Haven't called Gunther either, so a real lockdown job. So it's ruck contest again, farmed out by Franklin. He's had a bit of the footy. There he is, kicking towards a pack. It's down at the full. Ben McGuinness becomes the rover, gets his kick out, hauled back the other way. Ben McGuinness again, dumped in a tackle without it. Don't know if the umpire saw it, but Smith picks it up, goes towards goal, the big fella. Almost. Here's Elliott. Rise at tackle, does well, just shrugs it off. Here comes Matt McGuinness. Fantastic left foot snap, straight through the sticks, and Lauderdale cut the margin once more.
They certainly do. Back to 10 points, and it was as much as 24 at one point, but Lauderdale just starting to convert these forward 50 entries. What about Hayden Smith there? He took off, a big fella. Running shot on goal. Wasn't his finest work, but...
It was like a little laser kick as well. It was about shin height when it came in.
Well, it was a little chaotic ball that ended up in Lauderdale hands and on the end of Matt McGuinness's boot. So this game, a really intriguing battle now. 10 points in this one. Lauderdale well, they're starting to maybe get on top. Not sure why that bounce wasn't recalled. And a bit of footy justice there as the Cam Duffy kick is marked in defence. So Gilby now has the footy. Commentary side looking for Kieran Newell, was just worked underneath it by his opponent in Brennan, who seems to be doing a pretty good job. Is he maybe just a little bit underdone or uncomfortable? Kieran Newell out there, he's got some strapping on the left leg. Might not be at full fitness. That's just me speculating because so used to seeing him dominate. Here's Callan Daly, sends a barrel inside 50 for Glenorchy. Nice work in front by Raglione, couldn't quite take the mark. It eventually spills out into Glenorchy arms. Flying shot on goal, Webb still has the footy, feeds it out to a teammate who makes no mistake, and the Pies hit back once more. It's that man Grace.
He's a quality player, Aiden Grace. It was a really nice finish on the replay. And it was James Webb who found a nice little pocket of space, used his speed. He's obviously getting a bit of advice there from the cars in that pocket, Aiden Grace. He's gone to them 3 or 4 times now. But yeah, James Webb got a burst away. I thought he was going to shoot a goal. I think he ran into a teammate in the end, but had enough poise to feed it out, and then Grace did the rest. As Smith over the top now, we're back in the middle, so an important goal for Glenorchy. Jay Bowden extracts it, and he kicks inside forward 50, but it's all Lauderdale through McManus. He goes straight into the corridor. Bell Chambers off for Gilby. This is Lauderdale footy. Straight through the middle, Gilby, a floater inside forward 50. McGuinness brings it to the ground. Can their Crummers get into the game? Big Matt Elliott just paddles it towards Karanua. He caught one high. He'll get a free kick. Not happy about that, the Lauderdale team.
No, Saunders coming in and sticking up for his mate.
There's another whistle. This might be marched towards goal. Yep. So it's going to be right from the goal line.
Right in front of the vocal Lauderdale club rooms.
So Karanua will cancel out that Grace goal. And this shootout second term continues.
It is a shootout, isn't it? I couldn't quite pick out what the 50-metre penalty was for, but I'm sure it was one of the Glenorchy boys on the lip saying something unsavoury about the free kick. The remonstration came from Saunders, so maybe it was an act of retaliation there. Another whistle. So they're still going at it in the Lauderdale forward line. Looks like Trad Duggan down there.
It's going to be an automatic goal virtually.
So this is costly.
Well, Paul Kennedy, I actually just looked towards the coach's box and he's tearing his hair out.
Yep.
He might just be playing with it, but
he has his hands on his head as if to say, what are you doing? So Ben McGuinness to amble in and kick the second goal for Lauderdale in the space of 20 seconds. So we spoke about Lauderdale's ill discipline in the first term, and now it's Glenorchy, and they're still going at it down there.
And just like that, it's a 4-point margin.
I think that brings it back to 10.
10, sorry. Is it?
No.
Trying to catch up myself here. No, it's 7, so it's cut it to a 4-point margin.
It is a 4-point margin, so that's extremely costly. Well, Coach Paul Kennedy will not be happy, nor should he be, as we go back into the middle. Camerick really working hard. Bowden's in there. Bell Chambers has got him. Still a bit of work off the ball here. His gear goes to ground, and he remonstrates with Siggins. Umpire reclaims the footy. Slapped down by Duffy and Smith as they go at it. Geared is in there. And there's another bit of ill discipline. This time it was Bowden. So I'd really like to know where this is all sort of started from, but Bowden was just into McGuinness. who'll take the free kick and send Lauderdale forward again. Could they lead the game? A goal here would mean they do at half time. Burge kicks towards the pocket. Mark's taken by Elliott. So a chance here for Lauderdale to put themselves in front. So an incredible turn of events here at Lauderdale Oval. Glenorchy skipped out to a 24-point lead. They then went goal for goal, these two teams. Lauderdale kicking for the lead through the boot of Matthew Elliott, who makes no mistake and caps off a wretched 5 minutes for the Pies.
This has been a bizarre and wonderful contest so far. Really fascinating. So 8 goals 3 now, and 2 multiple goal kickers for Lauderdale. I think at quarter time they only had 1 goal, so it's a 7-goal turn for them, and what are we talking, a 6-goal turn for Glenorchy. So the game was well and truly sprung to life as Camrick farms out a handball to his ruckman Duffy, who's caught in a Siggins tackle. And the crowd here at Skybus Oval have found their voice. They're a little aggrieved a little bit earlier, but things have gone their way in the last couple of minutes.
It was all sparked from the Kerenua free kick for high. Then there was a 50-metre penalty there, which saw a goal. Another free kick and 50-metre penalty at the centre bounce, which saw another goal. Let you call this bit of play.
Yeah, here's Saunders. He kicks towards 50 and Webster takes the mark. He's collected afterwards, but won't get a free kick for his troubles. So really dying embers. A lot of goals in this quarter, but we're beyond 30 minutes. Webster brings it out of defence, looking in the direction of Duffy. Smith, that lands on his head. Coming out was Jay Bowden. Found space when there was none. Kicking towards Bester. It's off hands and with grace. He's collected. In a good tackle, says the umpire. So it'll be a forward 50 stoppage for Glenorchy. So they do their best to regain a lead after leading for the bulk of the term. Grace looks in a bit of bother as he gets to his feet.
We've got one around the chops, I think.
Just seeing stars a little as the ball's thrown up again. Trupp and Reeves. It's gathered from Heavey. He manufactures a kick. It was unconvincing, but does enough to find McManus. He throws it on the boot. Burge now, if he can pick up the footy, he's got a yard or two to work with. Gets a handball out, finds Williams. Williams slaps it on the boot, looking towards Saunders. Does enough to bring it to ground. Here's Bell Chambers. He likes to burst away. Off to Elliott. Hasn't he sprung to life? Kicks out onto the outer side and finds Williams. Williams a spearing pass. Ben McGuinness didn't complete the grab. Picks it up on the bounce. A low worm burner. Siren. Half time at Skybus Oval, and the Lauderdale Bombers have come back from 24 points down in that quarter to lead it by 2 at the half. The major break. Both teams will come back in wondering what just unfolded in that second quarter as we saw a lot of activity. Chris Rowbottom.
Extraordinary. Yeah, just an extraordinary turn of events. Glenorchy looked like they were well on top in the football stakes at least, but then something happened, and we're not too sure what. There was a free kick given to Henry Kerenua in the Lauderdale forward line. It was a clear hot bit of high contact. Then there was a 50-metre penalty as a result of a bit of push and shove after that. Henry Kerenua kicked the goal. Then there was another free kick off the ball as the ball was going back to the centre square, which saw another Lauderdale shot in front of goal, which was resulted in a goal. Then we saw another free kick in the middle of the ground. It was Jay Bowden off the ball, uncharacteristically dumping Josh McGuinness. They then went forward, and Matt Elliott kicked another goal. So it was 3 goals for Lauderdale. They were 16 points down. It put them up by 2 points. And
it all happened in no time.
It all happened in the space of about a minute.
Yeah, it was frantic. Just as Glenorchy looked to wander off the ground, they just brought themselves in for a huddle, and there would have been some choice words you sense in that, like, let's not lose our heads here. We're right in this game. And funny enough, we were talking about a low-scoring affair at quarter time. Well, now they're both on track to kick 100-point scores. So fascinating game, and one that you'll want to stay across the live stream for, because I'm sure there's plenty to come between these two teams.
Yeah, it was both teams just using the corridor and going straight up the guts of the ground every single time. And we saw Aiden Grace get into the game. We saw Elliott get into the game. We saw Daly kick a goal. We saw Bowden working hard. We saw McGuinness died out a little bit, but then was still active in the Lauderdale forward line. So all the prime movers were getting on board. Camerick started to get his hands on the footy for Glenorchy, and the whole thing just opened up. And the goals started to flow, and especially so in that last couple of minutes with all those free kicks and 50-metre penalties. But certainly the message in that huddle would have been, boys, calm down. We were playing the better footy in that term. We got out to a 24-point lead. We were the better team. If we just do that, we should win this game, because they really were on top, Glenorchy, at one point. And it was those 3 free kicks or indiscretions that let Lauderdale back in. So half-time couldn't have come at a better time for Glenorchy to just go and get their heads together, cool off a little bit, come back out, and just try and do and replicate what they did in the first half of that second term.
But just seeing the highlights, that was the turning point. Kieran Newell marched to the goal square for the goal. There was a free kick off the back of that. It went to Ben McGuinness, who'd been relatively quiet to the since quarter time. He finishes off that, and they get it out of the middle and feed. It was another free kick, I think. Then Burge just puts it out in front of Matt Elliott, who goes back and kicks his second after being unsighted for for probably a quarter and a half. And just like that, Lauderdale captured a lead, and they were a long way from a lead for the bulk of that term. Fantastic stuff, really good footy, and shapes up for a ferocious contest, I think, in the second half. As we have a squiz at the goal kickers. Can't fit them all on there. Such was, I guess, the amount of goal kickers in that term. Kieran Newell was the additional goal kicker for Lauderdale, but Ben McGuinness and Matt Elliott, their majors, 2 apiece. Nick Baker got himself into the game with a goal. Nat Franklin, a real sharp finish, and Matt McGuinness also a snapping finish. Well, Grace, we said he was pretty quiet at quarter time. Didn't he come to life in that quarter? Did he kick all 3 of his goals? Or
Yeah.
He had,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2 or 3. And Jay Bowden got a freebie from the goal line. So that's how it sits at half time. And we'll be back with the second half. We'll have a brief break from commentary right now in the halftime break. Be back with the second half. Do not go anywhere. It's well and truly up for grabs between these two Bupa TSL teams. Lauderdale lead by 2 points.
When you whip it around the body, when you whip it around the body.
But that was the youngest team.
Got like 3 minutes and then you can play.
Look, it's here. I play soccer. Yes.
That's on the man in the back. Free kick to Harry.
I'm not even holding it.
Free kick to Harry. Archie. Free kick to Harry.
Got some corn. Corn there. Harry, is that your corn?
Right, Harry, big dick.
Nice one.
Wait, where?
Just in front of Harry. You got to get it.
Yeah.
I think it's bad.
No.
I don't think so.
I had a 10 cents.
Archie. Yeah.
You know when you jumped on the hay? And you got the push in the back. I thought,
Archie.
Where are you going? Don't know.
Go, Harry. Just let me teach you. Go, Harry. Can't catch on your knee, Harry. Oh, you know, see, people who keep their feet get the ball.
Puppy. I'm not good at
Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking. Gotta knock it out, gotta knock it out, knock it out. Go, Luca. Big kick. Big kick. Good one.
oh, is that him?
Oh, Harry. Oh, no. Good tackle. Handball. That's a handball. They go. Tackle, Harry.
Here we go. Let's see if we can get it in. Oh, here we go. 53 to 51. We need $50. Hey, can we give $100? That man's got magnificent hair. Throw us some money. Throw us some money. Can we have some money? Can we have this? Is that your
So back for the second half as Glenorchy are first out of the sheds, and maybe not too surprisingly. And the umpires make their way onto the ground. Spectators will slowly make their way off as we prepare for a big second half. 2 points in the ball game. Advantage of Lauderdale And it might shock anyone that's just tuning in for the first time today that they were 24 points adrift at a stage in that second quarter, Chris Rowbottom, but they did well to claw their way not just back into the game but back in front.
They completely turned the momentum, and it was due to some ill discipline from Glenorchy. They basically handed Lauderdale 3 goals on a platter, 2 through 50-metre penalties, 1 through another free kick in the middle of the ground that Lauderdale then took the footy forward and converted. So Glenorchy played the better footy in the second term to, as you say, get out to the 24-point advantage. But then once you hand your opposition a couple of easy goals that they don't have to work for, and the scoreboard all of a sudden rights itself, and the crowd start to get into it, and the car horns start going off around the ground, and the players start getting a bit of spring in their step, then the whole thing changes, and the momentum certainly did change. And the left-hand side of the so wait for that sign. The left-hand end of the ground is the scoring end, which Lauderdale will now have. So it's going to be really interesting going into this third term to see if there is anything in that, if there is a genuine scoring end. The message from PK, Paul Kennedy, for Glenorchy would surely have been, look, let's just forget that last 5 minutes of that term. That's not us. That's not what we do. That's not an accurate representation of how this game should be or is going. The accurate representation was the first half of that second term, where Glenorchy were just well on top in the midfield and were converting chances, and Aidan Grace was clunking them, and they were playing good football. So that's what they'll be looking to get back to. Lauderdale, you'd think, would maybe try and get under their skin, knowing that there are reactions to be had and goals to be kicked as a result, and they certainly did so in that second term. But playing very, very good footy in their own right as well. A shootout in that second term after a low-scoring first.
Well, what did we have? I reckon 3 goals for the first quarter, and what have we got there? We're 8 apiece, so my maths, what's that, 13 second quarter goals? So from 3 into a 13-goal term, I hope it's more like the 13-goal term.
Yeah,
that's got to be said in the third quarter. But Lauderdale with a valuable, albeit only 2-point, but I think psychologically, I reckon that's a big blow to gain the lead back into half-time. It just got so many key weapons that haven't actually had that much impact either yet. I don't think Saunders or Kieran Newell have really got into the game. Bill Chambers hasn't had his land-busting moments yet through the middle. So there's the same could probably be said for Glenorchy. Interesting to see Cullen Daly injected right into the centre square here. So here we go as the ball comes down off the hands of Duffy. Camrick tackled him and
held the ball.
Wins the footy holding the ball. I thought he tackled him without it, truth be told.
Didn't have a whole lot of time to get rid of it, I wouldn't have thought.
So Camrick gets his kick away, bounces in vacant space. The Bullfrog Perkins should be able to deal with this one. It just eludes Trupp. Coming across was Jay Bowden. It was Bank Smith in the end who gathered. Got it from Daly, who kicked toward his forward targets, but it was gathered by Perkins, who's been pretty good, I reckon, Jeremiah Perkins. Finds Anderton, and that's a rusty old kick. He hasn't seen a lot of the footy today, and that's what it reeked of.
That's the first touch after half-time, isn't it? Just the bit of rust on the footy. That's a nice big mark taken by Reeves on the lead for the Pies. So Big Reeves been a really good recruit this season for Glenorchy. He's certainly come into this team, provided a very good tall marking option and good chop out in the ruck too, and he's lining up here for what will be a tough shot on goal. He sort of sends it across the face. Is there a fly down there? Hands to it from Bowden. Couldn't complete the mark. It ends up with Daly, who just tried to poke it with the outside of the right. Hacked off the ground by Grace, but it'll spill through for a minus score for the Pies. So Grace certainly got busy in that second term. We wanted a little bit more from him in the first, but he delivered with aplomb in the second and kicked 3 goals to really get Glenorchy into this game or extend their lead to 24 points at one stage, as you say, as it's another free kick for an over. Enthusiastic high tackle there from Webb. So Lauderdale now the chance to the middle of the ground. Burge couldn't complete the mark. And another free kick for a throw.
Yeah, it was a tunnel ball effort there from Webster, and he just got a little too much on the tunnel ball. Now coming from Kieran Newer, measures his ball. Tremendous kick into the waiting arms of Saunders. Saw something few others would, did Kieran Newer. And now Saunders will line up for the first goal of the second half. He usually does this part of the game really well, Alex Saunders. Nice clean finisher of the footy. Nice kick. And he is on this occasion straight through the hey diddle diddle, and another for the Bombers.
So who would have thought we'd be saying at the start of this third term that Lauderdale extending their lead? I certainly didn't about 25 minutes ago, that's for sure. But that's exactly what they've done. They're at the 7 points, and you're right, that was a wonderful kick from Kieran Newer inside 50 to spot up Alex Saunders in a little bit of space. And speak of pickups, what a pickup he's been for Lauderdale this year.
Beauty.
He's been an absolute ripper. Here's Joel Harris, middle of the ground. Got an update on the wheels.
Yeah,
who
Colgate white wheels.
He would have had the
Aussie flag.
Would have had the toothbrush out at half time, just scraping off the grass stains.
That's a worry.
It's a good bounce though, so we won't give him too much grief as Daly goes after it for Glenorchy in the middle of the ground, fighting hard. He's all wrapped up. He'll have a ball up. So 7 points, the advantage here to Lauderdale. A couple of minutes gone in this third term. Rucks go at it again. Smith wins it down to Bell Chambers. He's immediately tackled by Camrick. That's holding the ball, or a throw, or incorrect disposal, whatever you want to call it. Camrick wins his second free kick of the term. Little short one's good to Geared. He's just between left half forward and the wing position. Gets around onto his left boot. He'll send Glenorchy towards 50. Picked up by McManus off hands. He sends a high ball to the middle of the ground. Contest to be had here, but Kieran Newer, he was smarter than his opponent. He stayed down and gathered the loose footy, and now will find a target wide in Heavey. He plays on immediately by hand to Bell Chambers, who lines him up and absolutely drills the goal. Sam Burge running back towards the goal square had the finger pointed to the sky. He knew it was good off the boot. And Bell Chambers, the powerful Bell Chambers, running through the middle of Skybus Oval, kicks another one for Lauderdale. This lead out to 13 points.
A handy buffer. This has shades of what Glenorchy did early in the second, though, so it'll be interesting to see where it unfolds from here. But that's pretty much trademark Phil Bell Chambers. Look at that burst of speed and a powerful leg. So down off hands, straight to Camrick. He breaks away, kicks towards 50, punched down by a couple of Bombers. In the end, Franklin comes in to interrupt it. Gets to Jeremiah Perkins. He was held off it. Probably should have got a free kick. Callan Daly spins it back in towards goal, but Raglione gets it and bursts away. Good work from the defender. Out now for Smith. He's got to ride the tackle and does. Just deals with it and works it away and finds McGuinness and juggles it over.
I don't think he even knew Banks. I don't even think he felt Banks Smith then.
I reckon he thought maybe that there was a drop of rain or something. Might have been brushed.
Maybe a mozzie flew past or something.
Yeah, he knew something was in the vicinity, but he didn't think it was an attempted tackle because, geez, he just dealt with that with complete disrespect almost as the ball comes up from an attempted clearing kick. It doesn't do what it was designed to, and out it goes.
Yeah, he's a big human, Smith, and Banks Smith certainly in a different weight division. Both are very good players in their own right, though. Smith, as we mentioned in the pre-match, leading the RACT Player of the Year at the moment, which probably wouldn't have picked that at the start of the year, but reflective of the season he's having for Lauderdale. Here's Jay Bowden, the man who knows all about Player of the Year awards. Kicks up towards half forward for Glenorchy, and his teammate unable to bring it under his spell and create something. Bailey Bester. So boundary throw in right in front of the Lauderdale rooms. And it comes, this time it's Reeves and Smith, and comes down to Bowden once more. He's taken in a really good Nat Franklin tackle. In fact, he's been pinged holding the ball. So Franklin, a little short one, isn't fantastic. Was looking for McManus. He eventually gathers the ball, got it off to Smith. Now it's Siggins paddling it up, back to Franklin, kick into the middle of the ground. It's a good one. Baker, he'll spread it wide. Here's McManus. Kick inside 50 now for Lauderdale. Saunders underneath it. Had the standing start, couldn't take the mark. McGuinness fed off a handball, hacked off the ground now for Glenorchy. Anderson will lead the foot race to the footy. He's unable to gather cleanly. Kept his feet though as his opponent went out of bounds. Eventually the ball goes over as well. We'll have a boundary throw in about 20 metres around from our commentary position. Lauderdale in attack.
So in it comes Smith and Duffy again. Duffy just hits it back from whence it came. It'll be a rinse and repeat. Again, hovering around this 50-metre arc for the Bombers. Ball thrown in. Duffy deals with his opposing ruck. It was a good hit out for Camrick, but he just coughed it up as he looked to break away. Good tackle applied by Franklin. Wrestling Webb to the ground. The ball moves from half back for Glenorchy onto the centre wing. So Duffy gets his hands over the top in the path of Camrick. Geez, they combine well. Drops it off for Brennan. Gets his kick away. A bouncing ball was met solidly by Reeves. He farms out a handball looking for Behrman. He's shoved off it. All done by Franklin. Franklin onto the chest of Bellchambers. A pretty good afternoon, Nat Franklin. Kick away from Bellchambers to Kerenua. Outer wing now. Starting to get in this game. Kerenua. Kick toward 50 is fantastic. On to the lead of Matt McGuinness, who swings around and looks to kick towards Elliott. Cries from Elliott that he was blocked and his path was blocked. Webster kick out of defence now is met well by an Anderton fist.
Yeah, good mark down there by Webster as well, just getting in front. Maybe Elliott was held. So boundary throw-in. Just in front of our commentary position here. Duffy to Camrick again. Camrick up the line now. That's a beautiful kick to Grace, who takes the sliding mark. He's too far out to score. He's way too far out to score. He's on centre wing. So little dinky one inside to Geared is good. And he progresses the cause further to Webb. He hands it off to Mott, who kicks inside 50 now. Unable to take the mark was Duffy. Flying shot on goal came, but it was missing to the near side. So Glenorchy, scoreboard ticks over for them. Still trail this one. So brought back in. Here's Perkins. Been pretty good today, as we've mentioned. Certainly done his job. Kicks a good one. The Bombers move it out of defence. Burge takes it at right half back, and they can go now through McGuinness. Kick inside 50 now. He's got a man deep in Elliott. Can he hold on to the mark? He can. It was off hands, the umpire said, but it won't matter as he dishes the handball off to McGuinness, who kept running, and he finishes it off in style. So Lauderdale now just starting to climb on top in this contest. McGuinness has another goal, and that was coast-to-coast footy.
That was really sharp footy. So what have they kicked now? 11-5. And that's the thing about Lauderdale. They might have a few scored against them, but they can just do it so quickly and with such ease, and so many options down there. They've had 2 apiece from Ben McGuinness, Matt McGuinness and Matt Elliott to date. And there's probably another handful that could be a multiple goal kickers as McManus climbs on top of Camrick and has been rewarded. I don't know that he had it all that long.
That's stiff.
He drops it off now for Siggins. Siggins inside 50. Elliott the target. Punch coming from Gunther. Really good one. Sees it out of play for a throw.
That was straight down Camrick's throat. He took possession of the footy. Was immediately claimed. Good tackle. Don't know about holding the ball.
the irony is he got rewarded for probably the exact same thing.
They have been quick on it, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been hot on it. No question about it. It's the ball to come in again. Duffy, commanding hit out down, but it's all red and black. It's gathered by Saunders. He spins it toward goal. It was off the chest of Duggan and invites in Lauderdale now. It'll be gathered by Kerenua, and he's claimed a tackle. He's claimed high again. So Kerenua, I don't know whether it's those Elvis hips of his, but he just seems to cop them high. He just weaves his way into dangerous situations.
Well, he's not a big man, to be fair. So he's generally pretty low as it is. Let's have another look at it. So down it comes. Kerenua goes at it. Yeah, I guess that's there, isn't it? Tried to just shrug the tackle off, and in doing so,
he caught one eye. So in he comes Kerenua. Off the left boot, but out to the right. A minor score. Tell you what, his teammate Saunders must have been pretty confident. He was tying his shoelaces as Kerenua took the shot.
Yeah, well, they know each other's games inside out. That's the vibe I get from those two. So he was confident. So high ball now. Outside 50. It's a shocker in the end. It's picked off with ease by McGuinness. Of the Josh variety. Former Brisbane Lion, of course. He'll put Lauderdale inside 50. Big fly comes from his brother. Unable to take the mark. This will be tracked to the boundary. In fact, it's kept in. Maybe to the Pies' detriment because it was straight to Gilby. He feeds it off to Williams. The kicking board was smothered by Millhouse. Kick forward now for Glenorchy, but no one's home. Trupp tries to met it on the half volley. Did well to keep it in front. They'll work it out by hand here. Delicate little kick from Smith to Williams. Manages to gather by hand, gives it off to Wiggins, kick towards half forward. A lot of soccer being played in the Glenorchy defence today. They'll eventually work it out of their Dilgo with a high ball. Did it stay in? Umpire said it was touched over the line.
So some scrappy footy in that passage. Ball to come back in, centre wing. This time Wish Wilson having a spell in the ruck. Dropped off by Bell Chambers now with McManus. He looks for Ben McGuinness. Good punch coming across. I think it was Dilga. A bit of an ear massage for his troubles, I think. That's how it goes, and it'll be thrown in. I thought for a second the boundary umpire was about to throw that into the crowd, the way he shaped up. It was fascinating as the ball comes in. Wish Wilson doing battle with Reeves. Reeves strong fist. Inviting Roberts. Gathering was Wish Wilson. Claimed a tackle. It spills out, and then Anderson gathers, but they jump on top of him. Ball up again. And again, it's that centre wing area. Neither team forging too far. So up it goes. Wish Wilson down. Bill Chambers tries to gather. Camrick all over him. Be rinse and repeat.
So Lauderdale lead this one. 19 points, the difference. After trailing by 24, some comeback. Down it comes. Franklin feeds McManus. Another inside 50 for Lauderdale. McGuinness underneath it. Gunther did well. Met solidly in the tackle. As they go to ground, it was Arnold. Another stoppage here. Umpire just directs a little bit of traffic. The Rucks go at it. Bowden's in there. Feeds off a handball. Banks Smith was swung and flung, and gee, Bowden might be in trouble here. Holding his lower left leg. Taking the boot off. That's not a good sign, Damien Gill.
No, it isn't. This play continues. Wish Wilson kicking towards Saunders. He gathers eventually, drops it off. Matt McGuinness now, nimble, drops it off for Siggins. Siggins just steers towards goal. Ben McGuinness arrives, brings it to ground. Gunther with a problem now. The ball spills out. Matt Elliott hunting it. So too was Webster. Coming through is Camrick. Did well with that burst of pace. It serves him so well. Coming across here is Millhouse. Here's Roberts for company. Inside, finds Mott. That laser-like boot. Can he find Grace? Just by Grace, and they're helped out by Trupp. So a 19-point lead. The scoring has dried up a little, Rowie.
It has in this last few minutes. Back to the sort of first half of the first quarter, what the game looked like then. Siggins lopes away up the wing. Little drilling ball towards 50. It'll eventually end up in the arms of Saunders, who sends a flying shot towards goal, but it will miss to the near side for a minus score. 20 points the margin now to Lauderdale. 18 minutes gone. Here is Bowden, who has the boot back on, and thankfully he's all okay. Would have sent a little shiver through the spine of Paul Kennedy, I'm sure, when he was down there just nursing his lower left leg. Bowden just bashes and crashes his way through. Did well to release Banks Smith via hand. He sends a tumbler into the Glenorchy forward line. He's got a couple of players that he was searching for. It'll be scrapped forward now. Here's Camerick, gets on the end of it and finishes it off. So the Pies hit back.
Well, that's a quality goal from Ben Camerick, because he actually started the action at the other end at full back, and he's on the end of it at full forward.
It's good running.
Quality player. Just continues to impress every time you come out and watch him. So, ball back in the middle again. That's a bit of a fire starter for Glenorchy. Probably need a couple in a row really to get them going. Lauderdale crowd's just softened a little bit. As the ball goes up again. Wish Wilson having an extended period on ball here. Ball comes out from Webb. Here he is, Wish Wilson. Just steers towards Saunders. Saunders tried to shield him. He's going to get a free kick. Maybe somewhat fortuitous. So here's Saunders. That is a terrible kick of the football for someone that is such a good exponent of the kick. It's coming back from Bailey Bester, and lucky for Lauderdale, Gilby's there.
Two minds he was in then, Saunders. He saw one target and then saw another, and then kicked it to neither.
Found a third target that wasn't there.
Yep.
As Perkins pokes over the top and finds Wiggins. Wiggins keeps it moving. Out to Heavey. Heavey, such an experienced player in this side. Finds out a handball to Raglione. Goes for the little laser. Didn't work out for him. Jay Bowden just goes for distance. And Wiggins takes a saving mark for the Bombers.
Been pretty good down back today, Wiggins. So used to seeing him play forward and kick bags of goals on this very oval. He's been pretty good in defence today as the kick comes out wide. McGuinness held up by his opponent, Hall. Bowden. Short one is good to Gilby. So he looks to go inside. Slightly dangerous kick, but Franklin's good enough. Played on immediately by hand. Missed the target, and that was holding. McManus to take this free kick now. So short ball is good from McManus to Bill Chambers, middle of the ground. He gets around his opponent. Inside 50 they go, Lauderdale. Webster gets back and takes a good mark. In fact, it wasn't paid. Burge ended up with the ball. Fed it out to Saunders. Curling ball from the left. And goes through for a minor score. So Lauderdale, they lead by 15 points. Camerick goal just pegged the margin back a little. Bowden doing the kick-in duties. That's not his finest.
Straight down the throat of Raglione. So the ball will come back in from the Lauderdale backman. It will come down with snow on it. A high kick, punched away by Arnold. At the fall was Matt McGuinness. Not his best kick. Webster tries to wriggle his way out of a tackle. And in the process, caught one high. So he'll get a relieving free kick. He's got Mott over the top if he can just hit the kick. Or he'll go down the line where some numbers are and the big men are. Smith back in the action, brings it to the floor. It's gathered by Franklin. That's not his best kick. Here's Banks Smith being pretty quiet. Steers it towards 50. Gathering on the hop was Tyler Bowden. Tyler Bowden swings it back in the Grace direction. Brings it to ground level. Reeves just threw it on the boot. Banks Smith takes the grab. So Banks Smith will line up for his second of the day. And this would be big for the game. If you can cut the margin to under 10 points. Just really breathe some life into Glenorchy. So the Magpies through Banks Smith. Shoots at goal. Oh, into the woodwork.
Big, isn't it?
So that hurts Glenorchy. It was an opportunity out of nothing but effort. They just scrambled and scrapped it forward and thrown it on the boot. Unfortunately, it doesn't end in a maximum.
Saunders comes out to meet it, takes the mark at half back. Plays on by hand. Neat kick in the Burge direction. Couldn't take the mark. Might have been held off it. Umpire said play on. Ends up in Dilger's arms. He was dragged off the ball. He'll get a free kick though. So a little bit high, the umpire suggesting. Still only 14 points here. So definitely game on. That's for sure as he kicks into the pocket in the Callan Daly direction. And he was up against it there, the smallest bloke on the ground. So boundary throw in. Right forward pocket for Glenorchy. Can they peg this margin back to just 8 points? They led by 24 at one stage in this game. Footy's in Lauderdale hands though, as it is kicked up towards our commentary position on centre wing. Bowden at the back of the contest. He gathers the loose footy, thinks about one target inside, goes the other direction and eventually hits one on the bounce in Banks Smith or Webb, and he gives the handball off to Webster. Tumbling ball towards 50 for Glenorchy. Little pokey one from Bowden into the pocket looking for Grace, who might have got one around the ears, but the umpire said no, and out of bounds it goes once more.
So 14 points the margin. As we're beyond 24 minutes in this third term. An arm wrestle of a quarter after a real shootout in the second. The ball comes away from Bill Chambers' handball. It's swung back in through Bowden. And as he so often is, Josh McGuinness plays goalkeeper. Takes a good mark. He just pokes nicely for Siggins, who found some room to go to work. Such a luxury to be able to play Sam Siggins on ball. He looks in the direction of Matt Elliott, farms it over the top. Keep it moving through McManus, but it's going to come back for a free kick for Elliott. Kick 2 this afternoon. Hitting the wings now and providing some leading support. He kicks and finds Heavey. Heavey wastes no time, but he pops up and invites pressure from Arnold. So not his best kick there, Alex Heavey. Ball's out of play. Umpire will bring it back in.
14 points at the margin here. Skybus Oval, 25 minutes gone. Third term. Really shaping up for a grandstand finish. Glenorchy, you would sense, still have plenty in the tank. Millhouse just sees it over. But Lauderdale, certainly the arm wrestle moving in their direction at the moment. Found themselves 4 goals down at one point before a litany of ill-disciplined acts from the Pies saw them come back in and extended the lead. But here they go now, Glenorchy. Camerick generally hits a target on the fly. Not this time, though. That one's picked off by Wiggins. So Wiggins just flares it out wide to McGuinness. Has it right in front of the Lauderdale rooms. He'll kick long and beyond a wing. Looking for a big target in Smith, who is just too strong for Duffy. He chisels one into the middle of the ground. Hits Saunders on the bounce. He kicks towards half forward now, looking for McGuinness, who'll fly from the back. Wonderful grab. Plays on immediately by hand now to Gilby. Kick into the pocket's a good one. And Lauderdale will set up. And it all started with the big mitts from Hayden Smith on the wing. And then the equally good mitts from McGuinness at half forward.
So Wish Wilson.
And this from Wish Wilson. Wish Wilson. This from Wish Wilson would be a real dagger for the Pies to extend it to 20 as the siren goes for three-quarter time. In he comes and kicks the goal. So right on the buzzer, Ethan Wish Wilson extends the Lauderdale lead to 20 points. And all of a sudden, the Bombers enter the final term with a significant advantage.
20 points. So more arm wrestle of a quarter, that one. They had the early running, Lauderdale, and then they just held their advantage more or less. So we will see some of the highlights from the quarter at some point. But a very, very healthy lead, 20 points, holds Lauderdale in good stead to take the points in this tussle of two of the premiership fancies. I've liked the game of Nat Franklin today on ball. I thought he did some good work in that quarter in particular. And Lauderdale, more or less, are just that contested stuff that they pride themselves on. They've brought that to the fore as we see some of those highlights.
Beautiful finish there from Bell Chambers, who has worked hard in midfield all day today. He probably hasn't had the numbers that Nat Franklin's had, but certainly been impactful for sure. There's McGuinness, who's been good.
Didn't play the grand final last year. Matt McGuinness was left out.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no chance he'd be left out in 2019, I'd say. His improvement as a player has been significant, and he adds another real string to the bow of the Bombers. We see Camrick get on the score. Geez, he's battled hard today.
Yeah, he's really worked into it. He had probably a slowish first term, but he started to get off the chain in that second term, and that really coincided with Glenorchy getting on top. And he's just in everything, it seems like, and he's such a hard runner as well. You called it when he kicked that goal. He ran from one end of the ground to the other, started the chain and finished it off. So the coach, Paul Kennedy, would be pretty happy with those sorts of efforts from his prime mover on bowlers, Ben Camrick being one of them. There is the state of play. Lauderdale 12,880, lead Glenorchy 9,660. We haven't got all the goal kickers there on the screen, but we can tell you that Ben McGuinness has 2, Matt Elliott has 2, Matt McGuinness has 2, and singles to Baker and Franklin, I think.
As well as Karen Newer, Saunders and Bell Chambers for the Bombers.
And for the Pies, 9,660, Aiden Grace has 3, well held in that term. Once again, Jay Bowden has 2, Banksmith, Daly, Reeves have singles.
As well as Camrick, of course.
And Camrick has the goal as well. So really intriguing finish all lined up for us here at Lauderdale Oval. The scoring end, I suppose, will go to Glenorchy in this term. Is there anything in the scoring end? Is it slightly running slightly downhill? There's certainly no wind to speak of or anything that would have any sort of influence on the game conditions-wise. Might just be purely a mental thing.
I think so. In that second term, I think Lauderdale will probably kick more goals to the right of screen in the finish. So it's hard to make too much of it, isn't it? Be interesting to be in that huddle right now and listening to Paul Kennedy, a very emotive sort of speaker. He'll be trying to get Glenorchy going, because we talked about the scalp of Lauderdale and what it would do for any team season, but Glenorchy in particular, centenary year, right in the reckoning for a premiership. It'd be massive if they could come down here and take away a win, and they look like doing the second term when they bounded away to a 24-point lead, and I was actually wondering how Lauderdale were going to get back into it, and then they completely flipped the game, Lauderdale, and at the moment it's in their control. But what tricks does Paul Kennedy have at his disposal just to shake this one up and see if they can take a win?
Well, I really like the fact that while Lauderdale were able to get back into the game due to the free kicks that Glenorchy basically handed them on a platter, they then went on with it, Lauderdale. They didn't stop there, and really they legitimised their lead and their advantage by not only taking advantage of the free kicks, but actually kicking legitimate goals themselves. And as you say, 24 points. What's that? It makes it a 44-point turnaround from where they were. So they have been on top, certainly for the bulk of the second half now. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Well, the second half of the second quarter, and then the entire third quarter. So do they come home with the wet sail? Do Glenorchy challenge? Is there anything in particular they need to do, the Pies, in terms of moving the magnets or changing things up? Or is it
it's a hard
the
one.
same?
Where do you put Jay Bowden? Because when he's floated, I know he's kicked 2, but they were both from the. I feel like when he's floated forward, Josh McGuinness has taken him and done a pretty good job on him.
Yep.
And then they've used him around the ball. He probably hasn't been at his absolute best today, Jay. But he's one player that you go to. The game needs to be won. Who do we need to get involved? It's the likes of a Jay Bowden and a Reece Mott, I reckon, as well.
Yep.
They're the types that just need to get their hands on the footy.
Haven't called Mott a lot today, have we?
No.
He's usually really prolific
yeah.
in terms of winning the ball. He gets a lot of the footy and uses it well. We haven't called a lot of him today. He's been okay, but certainly not his usual self. And Jay's the interesting one as well, because he's such a break glass in case of emergency type player. But opposition teams will be onto that, and they'll know that. They'll know that when they'll have plans for him for when he goes forward. They'll have plans for him when he goes into the middle of the ground. So whatever you do with Jay, you're always going to be up against a pretty well thought out plan that the opposition will have to try and curb him. So how they use him will be fascinating, because as we say, Lauderdale will certainly have something up their sleeves to counter that. I think Lauderdale just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think they've done really well in the middle of the ground. I think Franklin and Bell Chambers at least breaking even, if not winning the battle in the middle of the ground. I think they started to get a bit more out of Saunders and Karanewa, who had started to show some spark. And I know Karanewa got a couple of maybe slightly dubious free kicks, but that's sort of what he does. That's in his game. It's a legitimate thing in his game. Burge has just sort of gone around and done his thing, I think, and I think the defence has held up reasonably well, all things considered. The Bombers, especially in that third term.
Yeah, so we're all set up for a grandstand finish here at Skybus Oval. There's a bit of a chill in the air. It's got a bit colder. Must be
the
said.
mercury has dipped several degrees, I think.
So, two teams to go at it. Glenorchy an early goal's all important in this term, you'd sense. If they can just get the jump, then they're a chance. But Lauderdale, we've seen in other games when it's been up for grabs, when they get their tail up, good luck stopping them. Especially in that last quarter, they just pile on the goals quickly. So back in the middle again, 20 points to margin. It's the way of Lauderdale. Last quarter. The lead is, well, it's been shared for the bulk of the day. Glenorchy got out to as much as 24 points. Now Lauderdale have their turn in front. Are there any other twists and turns to come? Joel Harris in there with his very, very loud white wheels.
Just boggles the mind what sort of goes through the brain.
To go with the Aussie flag on it too, that's ambitious, I reckon. Like your Mille Jedinak. So bounce down, final term underway. Off Duffy hands, fed out by Mott. It comes from Webb. Interesting, Grace in the middle. Grace gets it forward. Just worked under it was Jay Bowden. Sniffing her out was Cal Daly. Now he's someone they need to get in the game. It's going to go against Camrick on this occasion. Bit overzealous. Well, not even. It's for a whole nother contest. I think it's against Tyler Bowden.
I thought it was in the back too.
So it's Trupp. He'll kick for Anderton. Hasn't seen a lot of the ball. Anderton turns and goes and hits Karanewa with a plum. Right on his chest. Karanewa now for Matt McGuinness. Got good separation on Hall. Matt McGuinness now towards Elliott. Great kick. He just brings it down to the fall here. Saunders, tumbling ball Fantastic finish, Alex Saunders. Great footy, Lauderdale.
Gee, they enjoyed that one too, Lauderdale. And Henry Kerenua, his mate, got straight over to him. He made an absolute beeline for Saunders to get around him and give him the big cuddle and the pat on the back. And that extends the margin to 26 points. So a full turnaround. It was 24 points in Glenorchy's favour. And he's now 26 points in Lauderdale's. Wouldn't have picked that coming. And the Pies have a fair old mountain to climb now, but the one positive for them is they have a whole quarter to do it. They're going to have to get their skates on all the while as they attempt to go forward now. Daly meets it on the bounce. High ball inside 50. Big fist comes from Raglione straight down to Trupp, who just loops the handball over the top to Anderton. He's got McGuinness for support. He kicks up beyond a wing. He's got Smith all on his own. Takes the mark with ease. Gives to Siggins, who just tries that little burning kick that he's tried a couple of times today. Just scrubs along the ground. Ends up in Glenorchy hands. As the Pies go inside 50 now. That's a good mark taken by none other than Jay Bowden. And we spoke about this man in the break. Break glass in case of emergency. Send him forward. And here comes opportunity number one. So a big contested mark from Jay Bowden, the champ. He has two for today, but both gimmies from the goal square from free kicks. He'll amble on in here. He'll widen the angle, just looking for a little bit of extra distance, and he crashes it into the post. So minus score for the Pies. Back to 25 points.
So Wiggins from full back now. Drive long beyond the arc. Smith the target. He sits under it against his opposing ruckman. Brought down from Duffy. Camrick farms out a high handball. It's met by Roberts. Spills out of his fingers. Burge now claims it. Kerenua in trouble. Gets his ball away before he was actually tackled. The play unfolds anyway as Franklin gets his kick. Might be a downfield free kick, or it'll go back. It'll go back. Go back to Franklin.
Should that be a downfield free kick?
I don't know 100% what the free kick was for, so it makes it difficult to give a strong verdict, to be honest, as Raglione has a punch from his grasp, gathered from Bell Chambers. Franklin again now with Wiggins. Wiggins measured ball just over the head of the intended target. Burge out there. It's gathered by Bester. Now inside, it's just thrown on the boot by Geard. He just goes for territory, and Tyler Bowden almost took the grab, and then he climbs on top. Makes a good tackle. He's done that a bit today, Tyler Bowden. Two hands to it, but doesn't bring the footy away.
Yeah, got to complete the mark, don't you? He still provides a tough matchup, Bowden. You still got to pay him a bit of respect and send a good defender to him, because he's a big, strong lad and can take a mark as Trupp feeds out the handball. Lauderdale look to go forward. McGuinness meets it. Kerenua at the full, spins out of trouble. Hands off to McGuinness. Now it's Saunders. Can he kick a second? Kicks from 50. And McGuinness might have been just worked underneath the ball. It'll go through for a minus score for Lauderdale.
They got to get their skates on, don't they?
Yeah.
Glenorchy.
Yeah, they need to go long and direct.
We've got 5 out of the way in this last term, so here it comes off the boot of Trad Duggan, just kicking for Duffy. Just look a little short of petrol tickets, I reckon, Glenorchy, as the kick comes away from Gilby into the pocket. Really good diving grab from Duggan. Just a bit flat-footed and not moving with a lot of energy and purpose. This kick might find its way to Duffy. It does. That's an interesting kick. It was almost to us. In fact, it's hit my computer.
So we've got the protective mesh up today. You can't see it on the broadcast, but if we didn't, that would have landed right where you don't want it to land for Damien Gill.
Yeah, I think so. So McManus now, ball in hand. As play goes on, he drives into forward 50. Matt McGuinness the target. He almost volleyballed it down. At the fall was Banks Smith, won the footy. Geared helps it out to the outside runners. The kick comes long for Roberts. It was brought down. Here's Bester. Tries to paddle to himself. Oh, fantastic from Franklin. Just extracted it from the traffic and then kicked long to their forward targets. Gathering was Karanua. A shake and a bake and a dance and a... Oh, not quite a goal. It's gathered by Saunders. He tries to manufacture a goal himself. And then Ben McGuinness went head surfing when the ball wasn't really in sight. And I think whoever it is getting up pretty gingerly. Play is going on again, though, as the advantage was taken, and it's won back by Lauderdale. Burge inside 50 now, and here's Matt McGuinness, and he'll just cool the jets and look at the sticks.
Have you ever seen a big man like Hayden Smith be able to hit targets at knee height, ball sizzling
He
like
loves
that?
it, doesn't he?
He just shatters everything you think about a guy that size on the football field.
He's a darn good footballer. But and you're right, he smashes expectations and you preconceive, I guess, ideas on what a player like him could do. Here's Matt McGuinness, a quality player in his own right. 2 goals today off that laser-like left peg. Never really looked like it. Out to left, another minor score for the Bombers, so they extend their advantage nonetheless.
25 points. The margin here as Arnold takes it from the kick in the right back pocket, sends it up to a contest beyond the wing. It's punched out of bounds. Boundary throw in to come, and there is that man Smith, and he'll do the business with Duffy here. And Duffy's not a weak man by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly wins the battle there. Smith ends up with Mott now for Glenorchy. Can they manufacture something? Here's Daly. So Daly hands it off to Mott, who'll go inside 50, looking for Bowden. Bounces off the chest, couldn't quite take the mark. Roberts spun out of trouble, couldn't take the footy with him. Bowden's in there of the Tyler variety. He picks it up off the deck, but he's unable to escape the clutches of a pair of tacklers. Do you think there's the danger of it when you send a Bowden forward to try and win you the game? I mean, the opposition just knows where the majority of entries are going to go.
There is always that danger, and I think Grace is another one. They can become a touch predictable when they go to those 2 targets.
Free kick picked out here on the umpire. There'll be no advantage as the sun begins to get a little low in the sky.
Someone a bit ginger behind play as well, Wiggins.
Yeah, hard to see it all the way out there on the other side of the ground. It will be a free kick to Wiggins. Darren Winter just must be thrilled with the response from Lauderdale after they were down and challenged and in that second term. As the fist pumps fly next to me, that could only mean one thing, that the D's are leading in the AFL.
Tom McDonald, 3 goals. Somehow been revived.
Ball spills out of bounds once again, right in front of the Lauderdale change rooms.
Get up. Jay Lockhart involved in the play as well.
What a player he's become.
Absolutely. From right here, the breeding round, Booper TSL action. So the ball off hands from the ruckman. Bursting away was that man Camrick. Yet again, actually, it might have been Webb. Comes inside forward 50. Here's Callan Daly. He's had a quiet afternoon. Can he manufacture a goal from here? Freakish stuff from Callan Daly. Crafty small forward of such quality. And he gives Glenorchy a pulse.
That's a tremendous finish. Moving at full tilt, gathers cleanly. Right foot dribbler, tightest of angles. That's not an easy shot on goal. He made that look reasonably straightforward though. So that's interesting. brings the margin back to 19, and 10, 11 minutes gone in this term. Not an unassailable lead by any stretch. Glenorchy kicked the next one, and it's absolutely game on. We go back into the middle of the ground. Here they go, the Pies. High ball towards 50. Can anyone take a mark? No. McGuinness, strong as ever for Lauderdale. Hits a target in the middle of the ground. Bell Chambers flares it out wide now to Williams. He's got a little bit of room to move. He's got a man at half forward. Wish Wilson, little one inside 50. And McGuinness, did he complete the mark? Umpire said no. It just bobbled out of his arms at the last minute. Thankfully, from a Glenorchy perspective, it'll be all locked in. And Lauderdale's attacking 50. They're just wanting to put this one to bed. Kerenua moving sharply, gives it off to Gilby. He kicks into the pocket, looking for McGuinness. Meets it on the bounce, turns around, has a look at him. It's across the face and out of bounds. Right forward pocket for the Bombers.
So the right end of the ground for Lauderdale. They hold strong advantage in this game. Another one would put it to bed, you think. Glenorchy worked so hard only to get that one goal from Callan Daly. Here's Siggins now, wrestle from both sides, and he'll hold it in. So ball up again. Straight down, Baker eyeing it off. There's Siggins, feeds it out. Kerenua, just a stabbing little ball. Burge eyes that off. It's gathered by Trad Duggan. He fakes a handball and then he'll kick long. Long onto the wing. Here's Bierman. He watches it over. They gain territory there, Glenorchy. So they need to win it from this stoppage. What are we? 13 and change gone this last quarter. So it's one down by Smith. There's Siggins. High ball. This will come down with Snow on it. Eyeing it off was Bowden. Off hands. It's probably in the back underneath all that. It's gathered by Bowden almost. Franklin again. He's done that all day. He's been fantastic in traffic. On from Saunders. Ben McGuinness with time and space. He goes to Heavey. Heavey now kicking towards Matt McGuinness. He's kicked two already. And he'll now land the hammer blow you'd suspect.
Been good all day, hasn't he? Very, very good.
I've loved Nat Franklin's game.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Sublime. Premier midfielder on the ground, in my opinion, today.
So in comes Matt McGuinness to finish off the Magpies. One would suspect. And he comes, ambles on in. Very casual approach, but the finish is serious. Straight through the sticks. 3 on the board, Matt McGuinness. And Lauderdale look like winning this.
Yep, they certainly do. Work to do now for Glenorchy. Serious work to do for Glenorchy now. And once Lauderdale edged in front, they just ran away with it. And they are a team that can do that, as you mentioned, Gilly. Once they get their tails up, Lauderdale, they are very, very hard to stop. As the fist pumps continue to my left-hand side, the Demons in the AFL, looks like they've beaten the Dockers at the G.
They have. They have indeed. Beautiful stuff.
So Dame O'Gill, a very happy human. As we go back into the middle of the ground, that might have been a throw. Umpire said it was. So ball in Lauderdale hands through Franklin, who dishes off to Baker. And he kicks towards half forward, but it's chopped off by Hall, who thought about going, which probably isn't a bad idea at this stage because Glenorchy just need to go, go, go. So he spreads it wide. Looking for Bester. Gets him. So Bailey Bester needs to go. Kicks it towards half forward. Reeves, has he got a runner going past? No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Mott gives it Tumont tumbling inside 50, and it's going to be chopped off again by Josh McGuinness. He's been superb today.
He's always good, Josh McGuinness.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely has a bad game.
As he receives the ball back from Williams. Just a matter of hanging on now, Lauderdale.
Well, the sting's gone out of this quite early, I feel.
Yeah, it has. I think Glenorchy had a couple of early thrusts forward, but have been unable to.
They've just run out of a bit of gas too, I reckon. Like, they're just a bit flat.
Yeah. Coming off the bye too, so should have been certainly well rested. There's one down here. Smith just ragdolls Banks Smith. In fact, it might have been a free kick for a sling tackle as Camerick takes the ball away. Bowden roves his own footy. Camerick kept on running, shovels it in now to Daly. Can he kick another miraculous goal? I tell you what, Callan Daly's doing his best here. He's kicked 2 fantastic goals from tight angles in this term. And I tell you what, if they're looking for a spark, then that should provide a little pulse.
So what are we? Well, they're still in this, aren't they, really?
Well, it's only 15 points.
It's only 15 points, but it just seemed more than that.
It seems more. It seems more than that. And again, 17 minutes gone. If they kick the next goal here, it's back to 9.
Well, Cal Daly, this is a sign of such a quality player. I wouldn't have said this is one of his better games. He still kicked 3 goals.
He's kicked 3, and they've been genuine goals too. Like, very good small forward, crumbing goals.
Now, here's a guy who's tried hard all day. Camerick gets the ball towards that man, Daly. Just overruns it. Mopping up well was Bierman. Here he is, Daly, from his pocket. Daly manufactures a shot. He hasn't, has he? No, he hasn't.
That would have been something.
No, he hasn't.
That would have been something. Camerick has had so much of the ball today. A mountain of it.
He's a very, very good player. The elite of this competition as it's speared out from Aglione to Franklin, who's been darn good himself. Here's McGuinness over to Siggins. Just a pokey ball. Really interesting kick, but McManus up to the task. He can just go the short one to Gilby if he wants, but he'll get the 50 because Bailey Bester just forgot where he was, I think.
I was wondering why he wasn't.
So McManus hits the go button, just looking for Ben McGuinness. Where are the Crummers? Sniffing around. Kerry wraps him up in a tackle. The ball up inside forward 50 for Lauderdale.
I just feel Glenorchy needs someone to say, come on, boys, we're in this. Come with me. I'm not quite sure who that might be as Duffy and Smith go at it. 2 big rigs. So up it goes. Can Lauderdale just finally just shut the gate once and for all? Jordan Arnold, well, I reckon he's lucky there. That could easily have been holding the ball. In fact, it was holding the man. Umpire judged that he had disposed of the ball and was held onto. So Arnold plays on immediately. Awful kick. Turns it straight over to Baker. He sees something he likes, and that's an equally poor kick. Bowden gets in the way. Burge picks it up with the one hand. Gives off the handball. Wish Wilson can't drive the nail in. Another whistle, but it looks like Lauderdale are going to get another chance.
Who's getting the free kick here? Is it Wish Wilson again?
Could well be. Not sure what the infringement was, but Wish Wilson has got the footy. Kicked the goal right on 3/4 time to extend the margin to 20 points from 14 to make it tough for the Pies. And he has a chance now to do something very, very similar. So in he comes, Ethan Wish Wilson slams it home. And any hope the Pies had may have just been snuffed out.
Well, he becomes their 5th multiple goal kicker as well, Lauderdale. It's been a strange old quarter, I reckon, this one. Back out to that 20-point margin. They look comfortable. Tick beyond 21 minutes. And I tell you what, it is cold.
My toes. My toes have been in better spots.
Yep.
They're cold.
So 20 points the margin. Back in the middle again. Hit out one by Duffy. There for Mott. Swings it inside forward 50. A bouncing, tumbling ball. Gathered by Anderton. Look to farm it out for McGuinness. He's just shielding the ball away from Reeves. There'll be a ball up. So Glenorchy would take a minor miracle from here, you'd suspect. Reeves now slapping in the best of direction. Trupp interrupts, picks up the footy. Finds Bellchambers. Couldn't quite get it out of there. It was Mott who found Beerman, who goes back into traffic and is brought down in a tackle.
Yeah, it would take a minor miracle. I mean, you could almost see him kicking one here, and then who knows, maybe they kick another one there to really bring it back, but then they've still got to close it out, don't they? So still a long way to go for the Pies.
The Bullfrog Perkins off for Wiggins, a little one for Wish Wilson. He's kicked 2. He's coming to this side. He's displaced Alex Hill and done a pretty good job. Here he is, drops it off for Williams. Here's the overlap footy we love from Lauderdale. Siggins now, out for Matt McGuinness. Didn't complete the grab. He's done it pretty well this afternoon, but just that little bit of finished product there lacking. The ball squirts out in a tackle. It's with Brennan. Kicks long down the line. McGuinness positions himself so well.
He's almost been best on ground today. I think he's been magnificent.
He's done good. Yeah, he just sets such a high standard.
He's a victim of his own success, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, he's so good. He's darn good footballer as he gathers another touch here. So 20 points the margin, over 23 and change gone. They just milked the clock a little bit here, you sense. That kick was probably his worst of the day. Gathering was Jay Bowden. Farms it out to Beerman. He's in trouble, and there's a whistle. It's going to go the way of the Bombers. It's going to be a McGuinness ball.
Yeah, he's just been able to take crucial marks at crucial times while also doing a job, which is just invaluable. I think if you took him out of the back line today, it would be a different ball game.
So farming out was Beerman. There's Mott. He's kicking towards Grace. Trupp fished away. And it will eventually find the boundary line. It's funny, Aiden Grace, he's kicked 3 goals, but I reckon this is one of his quieter games.
He kicked 3 goals all in that burst, didn't he, in the second term?
As Bellchambers is caught in a good tackle here. Tackle not rewarded. Ball up.
Yeah, and it was a result of Glenorchy dominance where Grace was able to get on the end of the couple, but for the entire rest of the game, it's been Lauderdale on top, so Grace has not been able to get into it. Just credit to Lauderdale because he's a hard man to stop. I think Trupp might have had the job on him for a bit too. So
done a good job.
Really good from the youngster. A tumbling ball now inside forward 50. Gathered there by guess who? Josh McGuinness has been magnificent all day, just off the toes of Williams as Anderton picks up the loose footy now and has a runner in McManus. Can they add some icing, Lauderdale? Maybe they can, because McGuinness comes out and meets it. And he has been a tour de force today. In fact, he'll pass this one off easy as you like to Wish Wilson. He'll line up for his 3rd of the day. Extend this lead to what would be an unassailable 26 points. Gee, they'd be disappointed with this, Glenorchy.
They'd be very disappointed. The game was in their keeping, and it's got away from them.
Wish Wilson ambles on in. Gee, he's a dead eye. I know he hasn't had many difficult shots on goal today, but he's certainly converted the ones he has had. He kicks his 3rd. And Lauderdale out to a 26-point lead. 25 minutes gone, final term. And you would think that's all she wrote.
I think so. I think that's well and truly all she wrote. Powerful team, aren't they? They've had 25 scoring shots today, over the 100-point mark, after only kicking one in the first quarter. So ball back in the middle again, one down by Smith. Got to like the way he plays his footy as well. Camrick soccering from the centre. Geez, he tried hard. Shooting the ball, and here's Mott. Does well, moves between a couple and then kicks towards 50. Here's Tyler Bowden. He's got an outside runner in Bester. He gets it to that man Bester, who can only fire through or behind. So Arctic-like temperatures here for the closing stages.
I'm not going to lie, I'm waiting for the siren.
I'm pretty keen on the siren. As would Lauderdale be, as Trupp kicks long towards Smith. He's the meat in a Magpie sandwich. I don't think that'd be all too tasty as it comes off the boot of Siggins, looking for Heavey, punched away from Arnold. It'll be a stoppage centre wing.
Yeah, the votes would be
A battle.
reasonably tough today.
Yeah.
To give. You could sort of throw a bit of a blanket over a few guys. Got an idea of my three
Well, we might throw to you then.
right now. The game's
We
done.
may as well do it,
isn't
yep. So the ball comes in.
Well, I think my one vote today would probably go to Nat Franklin, the man you mentioned. I think he's been the best on baller on the park today, and that's with apologies to Ben Camrick, who was
bloody good,
magnificent for Glenorchy today. 2 votes I will give to the man in front of us who's just affected this contest, Hayden Smith. I think he's been fantastic in the ruck. As the siren sounds and Lauderdale finish with a 26-point victory over a Glenorchy team that was disappointing in the second half. Wonderful win, though, for the Bombers, who assert their dominance on top of the table. And my 3 votes goes to McGuinness, of the Josh variety. And Matt McGuinness, very, very stiff to miss out on a vote there. But I just think those 3 had such impact on the game around the ground. But Lauderdale get the chocolates today, and they are well and truly the team to beat in this competition.
I think so. And geez, they've got some contributors, don't they? All across the field. We see this bit of work from Calendar. That was probably the highlight of a pretty lacklustre last term. It was just business-like, really, from Lauderdale that last quarter. They just needed to get through and make sure of the victory, and that's what they did. A really strong victory in the finish. You see Matt McGuinness there. He's been a welcomed inclusion into this Lauderdale side. I think he'll be in the Devils for most of the rest of the year, but they might see him come finals, which is a dangerous proposition for opposition sides. But I can't argue with your best. I thought those were 3 of the best on the ground. I really like the game of Franklin. I thought Josh McGuinness swept across really well across half back. And Hayden Smith, he's an unlikely type. He just does a darn good job, as we see some of the highlights. Wish Wilson, 3 goals on the board as well. So your bit part players, he didn't have to do too much today, but as 3 chances to put them away, he'll be picked.
Just on Smith, remember a few years ago when big Daniel Roosendale was dominating the TSL for North Launceston, and he was just a man mountain who just used to win taps and was just too strong for everyone. Hayden Smith reminds me of a more refined version of Roosendale. Maybe not quite as big, which is saying something because Hayden Smith is a big man, but just slightly better skills. It probably takes a few more marks and a bit more of a refined version of Daniel Roosendale, and really just impacts the contest.
And very good as we look at the multiple goal kickers. 3 to Matt McGuinness, 3 to Wish Wilson, 2 to Ben McGuinness, 2 to Saunders, and 2 to Elliott. There are other goals coming through. Karen Ewer, Saunders, Bell Chambers, Grace with 3, Daly with 3, including 2 beauties in the last quarter, and Jay Bowden with 2. There are other goals coming from Camrick, Reeves, and Banks Smith, to name a few. So the result going the way of Lauderdale, and they flex their premiership muscle again, and they look well and truly the team to beat in 2019. We hope you've enjoyed today's coverage. We'll be back next weekend. It will be Lauderdale again, but they're up against North Launceston. An absolute beauty on the way. Join us then for that coverage. For now, we'll go get warm, Rowie.
Yep.
Get out of there. Get out of this cold weather. And we hope, as I said, we hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Bye for now.